tell, then you see the road. I'm out to my soul into the size. Whenever the smoke clear out of my face and my picture perfect, you do it. All of that green together, the truth, yeah. When I tell you the
Hello everyone, welcome back to Cypherfics. We are happy to have you back with us again in the part 3 of What If Danny Phantom Meets the Proud Family. Also make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you never miss a great update. Also make sure to check the wonderful author Pokemon Fan 1991 on FANFICTIONnet. Well, with that said, now let's straight dive into the story.
A few days later. In his hidden palace, Vlad smirked victoriously from his throne as Maddie marched in with her head held high, flanked by 2 common criminals who'd owed their allegiance to Vlad. "Welcome, my empress," Vlad said, standing up. He floated off of his throne down to Maddie's level. "I'm so glad that after 20 years, you've finally seen the light," he told her, not resisting the chance to mock that fat tub of lard in an orange jumpsuit. "All it took was you are holding the world hostage," Maddie answered coldly. "You didn't give much choice." "A necessary maneuver in the chess game of life," Vlad answered. Then, reaching up, he stroked Maddie's cheek, using fear to force the nations of the world into checkmate so that we would be on top as the undisputed rulers of the world. Maddie continued to glare defiantly. "And now that I'm here, will you stop the disasteroid?" she asked. Vlad smirked at the amusing little moniker the media had given his tool of generating fear and misery. Of course, Vlad could stop the disasteroid. Not that there was any point in doing it now. By now, the levels of the Senzu River were ready to overflow into the human world. Then, Vlad and Sarator would rule the world. That is until Vlad saw fit to destroy the Nilok and take his territory. The sun would never set on Vlad's new empire. "Quite easily, my dear, but that won't stop the Senzu River from flooding much of the world," Vlad told her, about to order his men to take Maddie away so she could be prepared for their wedding when the 2 men rushed forward, punching Vlad in the face, surprisingly knocking him back, stopping in front of his throne. "What is the meaning of this?" Vlad asked. The 2 who dared attack him reached up, grabbing their faces. In a flash of blue their appearances changed into the black market fence-turned do-gooder Kevin 11 and Ben Tennyson in one of his alien forms, the purple one-eyed creature made of rock and gemstones called chromastone. "I've always wanted to punch a Packers fan," Kevin 11 said with a big grin. "And this is the only one you can do it to without ending up in jail," Tennyson said, slamming his Ultimatrix transforming Big Chill. Tennyson fired a blast of mist from his mouth, trapping Vlad in ice. Vlad scoffed, annoyed. "I take it this is your paltry last attempt at resisting me, Maddie." Instead of answering, Maddie reached up to her face, pulling it off to reveal a clone of the little badger who'd gone and shaved his hair close to his head. "I think the proper term, father, is teenage rebellion," he said with a smile. "Henry," Vlad said with disappointment, seeing his favorite son has turned against him, "I had hoped that you of all my creations would have seen the light and rejoined me." "No one in their right mind would ever want to join you," Henry said, already transforming, his eyes glowing green. "Not after everything you've done." Unleashing his power, Vlad broke free of the ice holding him. Kevin 11 pulled out a piece of ectoranium from his pocket, transforming into the ghost-repelling material. Running at Vlad, Tennyson flew up, breathing more cold mist at the ground, obscuring Vlad's view of 11. Vlad turned, dodging a blow, firing a blast at the criminal that sent him flying. His current ectoranium body made him more durable than a normal human. Still, nothing a man like Vlad hadn't prepared for if some rebel attempted to use ectoranium against him. Vlad moved at near supersonic speeds over to a panel on his throne, pushing a button that sent a powerful electrical current through the floor, electrocuting 11, knocking him out, changing him back to a more vulnerable human form. Vlad grinned sinisterly, deactivating the current and summoning a blade of red energy. "Not so fast," Tennyson said, flying between Vlad and the downed Kevin, throwing a punch at Vlad. Henry provided cover fire with green blasts. Vlad deflected the blasts towards Tennyson, knocking him back against a pillar. He fell limply to the ground, transforming back to his human form. Turning on his heel, he fired beams at Henry from his eyes, forcing his once favorite son to his knees, continuing the onslaught until Henry was too weak to maintain his ghost form. "Did you really think you could beat me?" "On the contrary," Vlad asked, "all you did was delay the inevitable." Henry looked up at Vlad, still having a defiant look in his eye. "I wasn't trying to," Henry admitted with a grin. "I just wanted to keep you distracted." Before Vlad could ask what Henry was talking about, everything in Vlad's palace turned intangible. A green shadow filled the room with color before the disasteroid passed through. "Noob," Vlad yelled already. He could feel his powers growing weaker as Tennyson and Levin stood up, looking fine. "Man, letting this guy win has been a real pain," Levin complained. "I know," Ben agreed before he grinned, holding up his watch, "but now we don't have to hold back." Vlad frowned, knowing his plan had failed, decided to make a strategic retreat before reinforcements arrived. Vlad snarled, snapping his fingers, vanishing in red light. Danny really hoped this would work. The clone, Buzz, Luke, and the rest of the ghosts were hooked up to his parents' new energy device, Danny standing in the middle of the North Pole. According to all the calculations from his parents Tucker, Luke, Tony Stark, and a few other scientists like Hank McCoy and the Gold Power Ranger, if all of them were charged up with the new energy source, they'd be able to turn the whole planet intangible. Danny hoped that this would work while Henry, Ben, and Kevin kept Vlad distracted. Here goes nothing, Danny thought when Tucker told him that the disasteroid had entered the atmosphere. Now, Danny yelled, putting his hands against the snow-covered ground. The energy source powered up as everything turned intangible. It was taking everything they had to keep this up. Tucker, Danny asked through gritted teeth, where's the asteroid? It's coming in 3-2 now, Tucker said. The ground beneath them glowed green before the disasteroid shot up and out into space. Danny fell to his knees, the world turning tangible. Danny looked up, friends and family running over to him, Tucker, Sam, and Jazz hugging him, knocking Danny back into the snow. Dude, you did it, Tucker said, helping him back onto his feet, Sam brushing the snow off of his shoulders. Do you think Henry and the others are okay? Sam asked, sounding worried. Danny hoped so, knowing Vlad without the power-up he got from the fear and him exposing his secret identity. Vlad was going to run while he could. But Danny knew that he'd be back. Guys, what's going on with the clones? Jazz asked. Danny looked up to see the clones other than Buzz and Luke turning into energy like his parents' energy machine. Everyone but Tucker and Luke looked shocked. I ran the data with your parents. Although, it took everything the clones to save the world, Tucker explained as one after another the clones turned into energy, they came up with this way to save them. Danny didn't know what to say watching one clone after another become energy in his parents' machine. Finally, the last clone looked at him. Protect Amity Park, mission complete, he said with an emotionless tone before he vanished. Most of the ghosts from the Ghost Zone left after they finished turning the Earth intangible. Some of the ghosts Danny made friends with said their goodbyes to Danny as they left for the Ghost Zone. After the last clone disappeared, Danny then appeared in a white void. Hey, where am I? Danny asked the merc with the mouth. That's not important right now. What is important is that Vlad revealed your identity, and that wasn't supposed to happen. What are you? Before Danny could ask him anything else, snapped his golden gauntlet on his hand, and Danny returned to the North Pole. The news reporters were all at the North Pole to interview Danny about now that he saves the world from the disasteroid. But, of course, they never said his real name, dannyphantom. Then Danny realized that might have erased people's memories about Vlad revealing his secret identity. He didn't know how did this, but he was somewhat grateful about it. Then knew that Danny could tell his secret to everyone without being forced upon him. So he de-transformed into Phantom. I'm dannyphantom, he said as all the cameras were all on him, transforming into his human form. All the girls that Danny dated were all surprised that Danny would reveal his secret identity. Some of their friends thought Danny was really cute in his human form, while others thought he looked cute in both forms. Jazz, Sam, Tucker, and Danny's parents wondered why Danny revealed his identity to the world now. Danny flew from the cold, harsh North Pole to go to Wisville to see Penny. After a long flight, Danny made it to Penny's house and phased into the top of the house. Danny saw that Penny was in her room smiling that her boyfriend had saved the world. Penny? Danny called out softly. Danny? Penny said as Danny turned visible and landed next to her. Hey, Danny said. Penny walked up to him and hugged him tightly. I'm so glad you're safe, and you saved everyone from that stupid asteroid, she said as tears fell from her eyes. It's all right, everything is going to fine now, Penny, Danny said as he patted her on the back. The two looked at each other's eyes and began to kiss. As they were kissing, Oscar came into the room and saw them kissing. Penny! Oscar yelled. This couple stops from kissing and look at Oscar. Mr. Proud, hey there, Danny said nervously. Oscar just glared at the ghost boy that made him more nervous than before. Oscar, what's with all the yelling? Oscar's wife asked. Trudy, this boy is in Penny's bedroom, and he's not supposed to be here, Oscar explained. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Proud. I wanted to know if Penny was all right after the disasteroid came through, Danny said. That's okay, Danny. You care so much about Penny that you had to see her and wonder if she was okay. Trudy said. Trudy, he came into her room, Oscar pointed out the obvious. I think it's sweet that he cares for our baby like that, so I accept you are dating our daughter, and I have become a Phantom fan myself. Also, he did save everyone's lives, so we should try and trust him with Penny, she said. Danny slightly laughed at the pun that Mrs. Proud made. All right, Trudy, I'll trust the boy. So listen up, Donnie, Oscar said to Danny. It's Danny, Daddy, Penny corrected. Whatever, Oscar said. These are the rules. Always bring Penny back before her curfew or else. Phone calls are allowed until 9 p.m. Don't forget about it or else. Same with emails or else. Before taking Penny out, you better tell Trudy or me where you're going and for how long, or else. No touching Penny in general in my presence or else. No look above Penny's neck or knees or else. Don't cheat on Penny or else. Don't make Penny cry or else. Follow every single one of the previously established rules or else. Oscar told them the rules. Danny didn't care about the rules, he just wanted Penny, and he was willing to put up with her dad's crazy rules. Bellwood Private School. The school day could not have gotten out sooner for Gwen Tennyson walking down the steps, annoyed. She had to deal with being pestered by her classmates about her blind date with the now celebrity dannyphantom between classes, sometimes during class when one teacher stepped out to answer a phone call. Honestly, it was just as bad when Ben had been outed. At least then, she hadn't had to deal with girls asking her if Ben was single since he'd been dating Julie before the both of them had gotten too busy to devote time to a relationship, and then Ben started to date Kim Possible. "Hey, is that dannyphantom?" one girl asked. "No way, dannyphantom isn't blonde," another girl answered. "Blonde?" Gwen asked, looking over to see Buzz standing by the sign. Gwen walked over, curious. "Is something wrong?" she asked, thinking there might have been a solid lead on Plasmius. Buzz shook his head. "I actually wanted to see you," he answered. "There's a nice cafe near here, and I was wondering if, well, I mean, look, don't laugh but dash. Will I go out with you?" she asked, figuring out why Buzz was nervous. Buzz nodded. "All right," Gwen answered willingly to give it a try. Buzz had toned down his attempts at flirting and was trying to make a sincere effort instead of some big romantic gesture that would have been more irritating and embarrassing than endearing to Gwen. Buzz grinned. "Great, so shall we?" he asked politely. Gwen smiled. "We shall." After all, while walking side by side with Buzz, Gwen thought that one date wouldn't hurt anything. Japan Juban. On the other side of the world in Tokyo, Mina was walking with the rest of the Sailor Guardians when she noticed a cute boy walking towards them. Not that this was anything new, Mina always paid attention to the cute boys. No, this cute boy looked almost exactly like Danny Fenton Mako-chan's blind date, but he carried himself differently than what she remembered. Almost like Ami-chan. "Danny-kun?" Mako asked when he was next to the girls. The boy shook his head, tapping some earpiece that looked like a hearing aid. "No, but I don't blame you for not recognizing me," he said inside their heads. "My name would be Fenton Luke." Wait, he was talking inside their heads. Sugoi, a telepath, Ami-chan deduced, while Usagi-chan and Rei-chan looked confused by hearing voices in their heads. The cute boy shook his head. "Close though not entirely accurate. You are hearing my thoughts, but I am not a telepath," Luke explained. "After the incident with the disasteroid, I was given this as a gift from Mr. Tony Stark, a telepathic projector, a tool used by Martians who are not born with their species' psychic abilities." "Why do you need it though?" Usagi asked, while Ami-chan wanted a closer look at Martian technology. "Due to circumstances beyond my control, I was born mute," Luke telepathically explained, "but that is not why I am here. I came to apologize for my actions to you and your friend Kino-san. Though I was not in control, I was aware enough to know the wrongness of it," like apologized, finishing with a deep bow. So cute, and he's humble, Mina thought, while Mako told him that no one blamed Luke for what Plasmius did. "Regardless," Luke said, "if you would allow me, I'd like to treat you all to a meal or some other form or something else you would enjoy." Luke pulled out a small wad of yen. "I received Japanese currency to treat you in some way." "We don't need or want money," Mina said before Rei-chan could scare him off. "But if you want to do something, we wouldn't say no to a friend." Luke thought about it without Mina or the others hearing it. "All right, if that's what you want." "Oh, it is," Mina thought, eyeing Luke up and down. Mako-chan might still be nursing a small crush on Danny-kun. But Mina wouldn't be violating the girl code if she asked out Luke, would she? "Why are we doing this again?" Sam asked. Henry, the two of them wearing hoodies and shades so people wouldn't recognize them. The two of them were standing outside of You Plus Me Equals Love. Henry looked apprehensive too. "It worked for Danny and Tucker," he answered, sounding hopeful. Danny had found Penny, and Tucker had found Velma. Why not give it a try? Worst comes to worst, they didn't find anyone that they liked, and they could leave at any time. "I still feel like online dating is a scam," Sam said skeptically. "It worked for Danny and Tucker," Henry said again, smiling at Sam. "Why not two ghost hunters like us?" "Maybe they're the exceptions that prove the rule," Sam said, looking to Henry, who, since being free from Vlad's control, at least tried to look on the bright side of things. "And maybe, just maybe, so are we," Sam conceded, walking into the dating service with Henry. The two looked around, seeing no one behind the counter. "Hello," Sam asked, looking around. "Maybe they're out to lunch," Henry suggested. "That might be it." Sam was about to suggest the two just go to the skulk and lurk and come back later when the bell chimed. "A rose by any other name is just as sweet," one voice said. "When everyone's happy, our work is complete," another said. PF. And Number Boy blasting off at the speed of light. "Where it's back to work without a fight." Sam and Henry turned around to see two guys laughing. The shorter-looking one looked up, elbowing his friend. "Hi, hello, welcome to u+me=love.com, he said with a smile that screamed customer service. "Sorry if you had a long wait. We were getting lunch." The other guy held up to take out bags from Nasty Burger. "Wow, lucky guess," Henry commented. The two guys went behind the counter. "I'm 61394, and this is Pokemon Fan 1991, and we can help you both or just one of you," 61394 said. "Both of us," Henry explained. "Great," PF said. "Number Boy, you help the girl while I help her brother." "We're not related," Sam said before going over to 61394. "Seriously, who named their kid after a bunch of numbers? So how do you want to do this?" 61394 asked, handing her a form. "We have several plans that all can be backed out of if you're not happy." 61394 went on to explain everything to Sam, how she got to choose after her time in the dating service was over who she'd like to send a request for a second date to. If the guy she picked didn't respond, she could either try again with another guy she dated during the same time, go on one more date, or sign up for 30 more days of dates at no additional charge. All with a money-back guarantee unless she tried to scam them in some way. Sam signed up using Blackthorn as a screen name and paid the $20 she also paid for Henry, who'd signed up with the screen name Mr. Hyde. "Great, you'll receive an email with your first date later tonight," PF said with a smile, handing them their heart stickers. "Have a nice day." Sam and Henry left. Once they did, the two workers smiled. "Thanks for the help, Number Boy," PF said. 61394 shrugged. "Hey, no problem, if you need more help, you know where to find me." About to have his burger. "Oh, almost forgot." 61394 snapped his fingers, then went back to eating. "What did you do?" PF asked curiously. "You'll see in 3-2 Adrian/Marionette, two shocked French teens exclaimed in well French. "Restored their memories?" PF asked. "Yep," Number Boy answered. "I barely pay attention to them, but even I'm so tired of them dancing around each other when it'd be obvious to even Danny they love each other." "And where's Adrian's dad?" PF asked. "Where else, waiting for someone to feel miserable in his butterfly garden of doom," 61394 answered. Life moved on, and it was almost Penny's 16th birthday. Danny went to pick up Penny from a dance audition to be a spare change dancer. Danny was flying in the Spectre speeder to pick up Penny for their date after her audition to be a backup dancer for spare change. They were going to have dinner and see a movie. Danny landed the Spectre speeder in a parking spot across the street, getting out, and he was heading towards the theater. Danny checked the time on his phone. "Hey, look at that." He was early for once. But the Fenton luck struck as his ghost sense went off. "Oh, terrific." Looking around, maybe it was just the box ghost. "Please let it just be the box ghost." A blast of blue fire flew at Danny. Dodging out of the way, he looked up to see the one-hit blunder herself, Ember McLean, smirking evilly at him. "What's up, dipstick?" Danny frowned. "Going ghost, honestly, my day was until I saw you," flying at Ember. He threw a punch Ember blocked with her guitar, swinging it like a bat. Danny brought up his arms to block it with an arm. Ember's hair flared up, and before Danny could react, she hit him towards the theater, where Penny and many other girls auditioned. Danny groaned, pulling himself to his feet. "You okay, boo?" Penny asked, concerned, while Danny admired her in her skinny jeans and midriff showing top. "Wow, you look really appealing," Danny said. "Now, can you and the others get out of here?" "Got it," Penny said, kissing him on the cheek. "Now kick some butt." Ember phased in, and the other hopeful dancers ran towards the exits. Ember played a string in her guitar. Blue flames shot up, blocking the exits, trapping the girls inside. "I love a captive audience," she quipped before blasting at Danny. Flying up, Danny dodged the blast, zooming towards Ember. He threw a punch. Ember blocked it with her guitar, pushing his arm away, coating her fist in fire. Danny encased his fist in energy. Their fists collided, creating shockwaves that made the theater shake. "Why are you even here, Ember?" Danny demanded. "Don't you have a coffee shop somewhere to play at?" Pushing her back, he followed it with a punch to the face, like all the other washed-up musicians. Ember wiped her lip and snarled. "Hilarious dipstick, who writes your lines, the goth your sister or the geek in the beret?" she taunted. Grabbing her guitar, Ember swung down at his head. Danny swerved to the side, bringing his leg up, kicking her away. The two glared at each other, circling in the air. Go, Danny, go, Rasengan cheered before turning towards one of the other dancers. That's my boyfriend. No, he is not, Penny said, annoyed, turning back to the fight above. Go boo go. Danny and Ember were busy firing blasts at each other. Ugh, I can't see why so many girls like a dipstick like you, she said, sticking her tongue out in disgust. Jealous much McLean, Danny taunted. Ember let out another sound of disgust. Not in this or any other lifetime, Ember said before getting an idea to mess with the dipstick, turning a dial on her guitar. Enjoy getting dumped, Danny. Ember launched a pink blast at Penny faster than Danny could react, knocking her down spare change, and Penny's friends ran over worried for the girl who was holding her head. You okay, girl? Daijone asked, helping her up, but Penny didn't answer. Instead, her eyes were on Sticky's cousin. Yeah, I think I'm in love. You mean with Danny, right? Zoe asked, looking at Danny. You know your boyfriend's black hair, blue eyes standing between Sticky and me. Danny had a sinking feeling in his chest. He knew what Ember had done. Who? Penny asked. Welp, Danny just felt like his heart was ripped out and stepped on. Just like the first time he met Ember, Danny yelled furiously at the cackling ghoul. Celebrity romances, she teased with a mocking grin, they just never last. Danny flew at Ember like a missile, but Ember disappeared in a swirl of fire. Danny let out a furious, frustrated yell before slowly floating down. I swear the next time I see her, I'm stuffing her into a can of soup and throwing it into outer space, he grumbled. Danny turned back to his girlfriend, making goo-goo eyes at 15 cents. Deja vu for feeling like his heart was ripped out. Yo Danny, is there a way to get Penny back to normal? Sticky asked while pulling her away from his cousin. Danny didn't have a clue. I don't know the last time this happened. My friend Sam kissed a jock. I can't stand to break my heart. So to snap Penny out of it, you'd have to kiss a girl Penny can't stand, Daijone asked everyone, but 15 cents looked to Rasengan, who was more than happy to take Danny up on the offer. Never going to happen, Swampy. Danny shot her down. Besides, it'd probably have to be me who does the heartbreaking, 15 cents pointed out, getting everyone's attention. Since she's hypnotized to like me instead of Danny, she'd not even bother to care if she saw him kiss a guy. Wow, Sticky, he really is your cousin, Zoe said while everyone looked impressed. I'll happily do it, Rasengan volunteered again, only to get shot down. Yeah, no, I got a girlfriend, and I ain't cheating on her. 15 cents shot down Rasengan while getting Danny's respect. And leaving Danny with no idea how to fix his girlfriend. Penny was completely ignoring the conversation about how to unbrainwash. Instead, her eyes were just focused on Stick's cousin's 15 cents with hearts in her eyes. Hey cutie, why don't you and I go somewhere fun? Penny said flirtatiously to 15 cents. Danny held back the urge to hit something or someone. It's a spell, it's a spell, it's a spell, it's a spell, Danny thought over and over, keeping down his temper. Oh, come on, you're free. I'm free, Penny said, getting up close to 15 cents, batting her eyelashes. Why don't we hang out? He's a nice guy, and he's not stealing my girlfriend, Danny thought. He's Sticky's cousin, and he's probably the best one of Penny's friends. Girl, I don't know you, 15 cents said, inching away, but Penny followed after him. So why don't we change that? She asked. Instead of waiting for an answer, she tried to tackle him only for 15 cents to run off before she could chase him. Sticky and Daijone pinned her down. Guys, get off me, my boyfriend's getting away, Penny said, trying to slip out. When she almost did, Zoe joined in on the dog pile. Girl, you're under mind control, Daijone told Penny, pinning down her arms, and you've already got a boyfriend anyway. Daijone, I think I'd know if I had a boyfriend, Penny said, trying to get away. Now let me get after mine. Man, was I like this with Sam while under Ember's spell, Danny wondered, since he didn't remember most of that day. If Danny was anything like this, he should get his goth best friend something nice as an apology gift. Penny got out of the dog pile and raced after 15 cents. After getting outside, Danny blocked her way from getting anywhere near 15 cents. Get out of my way. I have to get to my new boyfriend, she yelled at Danny. You have a boyfriend, me, dannyphantom. And you're under a spell, Danny said to her. Daddy wouldn't let me have a boyfriend, so why should I believe you? Penny asked. Because we have been dating for 3.5 years, and your father finally accepted me from dating you, Danny said. I don't believe you. Daddy wouldn't allow me to date for the past 2 years. Even though you're cute, Daddy would never accept me dating, Penny said. But, before Danny could say anything else, Penny left. It broke Danny's heart as Penny was chasing after another guy. While Danny was shaken up by his girlfriend chasing after the famous rapper, a reporter following Danny saw this and took a picture of this, then ran off to make the article about Penny breaking up with Danny. A day later, Danny went to the ghost zone to find Ember to fix his girlfriend as he looked everywhere in the ghost zone to find the fiery ghost. Finally, he found her and floated over to her to cure Penny. Ember was strumming her guitar on a rock in the ghost zone, smiling as she played music. She wondered if the dipstick had undone the spell on his little girlfriend yet, or if she'd dumped him yet for the rapper guy, or did she see the little dude with the glasses? Ember wasn't sure who Pigtails had seen, and she didn't care that much. She was messing with the dipstick. Ember, Danny yelled. Ember set down her guitar. Speak of the dipstick, and he shall appear apparently. The dipstick rammed into her at full speed, pinning her against a cliff. Ember laughed. I thought I made it clear before you weren't my type, dipstick. Take it back, he demanded furiously. Undo your spell. Ember laughed. It's been a week, and the dipstick still hasn't figured it out yet. Then, finally, the goth chick figured it out. Isn't it obvious you got to break her heart? Ember mocked Danny. It's the only way. Danny growled. Why did you do it? Because I hate you, because it was funny, because you crammed me into that stupid thermos, Ember listed. Do I need a reason besides that? Kicking the dipstick away, she summoned her guitar into her hands. You've got your answer, dipstick, Ember mocked, and who knows, you might still have a girlfriend after you break her heart. Ember vanished in a swirl of flames, leaving Danny behind. Danny was now frustrated that he had to do what Ember said to turn Penny back to normal. As he was leaving the ghost zone, Danny got a call from Penny's mom to help them get back together. Danny wonders what it could be to help him get Penny back to normal. Danny wasn't sure why he agreed to go on this trip or if it would bring Penny back to her senses. Neither was Oscar based on how loud he was complaining to his wife, but he was shut up by Suga Mama whacking him with her cane. Hush up, Oscar, she told him. Danny ignored his girlfriend's family to look at his girlfriend, who was pouting in the car because she was going on this trip away from. Ugh, 15 cents. Danny knew the guy wasn't bad, but he was annoyed that Ember's love spell made his girlfriend think she was in love with Sticky's cousin. Hee Danny, a familiar irritating voice said sweetly. Oh, great, Danny thought, annoyed her. Danny turned to see Swampy standing in a nice-looking outfit and smelling like some rich perfume that Paulina once wore to try and do the same thing Swampy was trying to do now. Steal him from his girlfriend. Not that Penny would even notice right now. Go away, Danny told her. Swampy just giggled, fluttering her eyelashes. Oh, don't be like that, since you and Proud are Splitsville, that means you can trade up for a better girlfriend. Danny rolled his eyes as she tried to kiss him. Then, finally, Danny turned intangible and walked away. Not in this or any other lifetime, Swampy, Danny told her, heading towards the car while Swampy pouted, storming off to her house. Danny looked to Penny. Maybe she'd seen that, and it broke the spell. Danny frowned when he saw she was still pouting. She didn't even turn to look at him. This was going to be a long trip. Danny was leaning on the deck railing above his head. Suga Mama and Puff were parasailing. Feeling his phone vibrate, Danny pulled it out, answering it. His cousin Luke appeared on the screen last year. His hair had turned red for some reason that no one was sure about, but it made Buzz jealous that Luke never had to spend money on hair dye. Hey Luke, Danny greeted. Something going on in Amity Park. Nothing that you'd need to concern yourself with, cousin, Luke signed to Danny. His Martian thought projector didn't work through phones. Henry and your team are performing your duties admirably. Let me guess. Buzz doesn't know that I'm gone, Danny asked, knowing that over the years, Buzz was spending more and more time in Bellwood with Ben and his team, rooming with Kevin in his garage and even going through the plumber academy. The space cops, not the guys who worked with actual plumbing. Surprisingly no, Luke answered. He along with Aunt Maddie went to visit our aunt in Arkansas to celebrate some sort of anniversary. From what I heard from my brother, the two are bonding over rhubarb and arm wrestling. Oh right, Danny should send a card or something to Aunt Alicia. Maybe he'd find something she'd like at this island paradise. How's that going? Danny asked. Judging by your disposition and the lack of Penny's presence on your arm, better than your attempts to quote-unquote break her heart, Luke answered. I'm sorry you have to go through this pain. I've been dumped before, Luke, Danny reminded his genius cousin. That doesn't mean the pain is dulled, Luke answered, looking sympathetic. I don't suppose you have concocted a plan. Danny shook his head, afraid not. Even if he did, Danny could barely get her to focus on him. She was too busy fighting with her dad about, well, the usual stuff they fought about: Penny getting older, her sneaking around to go to 15 cents audition, yada yada yada. The only difference was that she was miserable since the rapper wasn't interested in his girlfriend, and there was no way in this or any other universe he'd kiss Lacey Aniga. Just thinking about it made Danny want to gargle an entire bottle of Fenton mouthwash. Once you do, Tucker I and Uncle Jack have devised an upgrade to the Fenton phones that even an enhanced Ember theoretically should not be able to break through with her love enchantment, Luke explained. We've distributed a pair to Alex, Mina Chan and Gwendolyn. Another thing that had happened was his cousins getting girlfriends, two of them being former blind dates Gwen and Alex, while Luke was dating Lita's friend Minako. Danny wondered what the odds were that his cousins would wind up with two people who might be his girlfriend right now if things were different. Sam had jokingly suggested asking Clockwork. This is how Danny learned that there was a multiverse of infinite worlds. And settling a bet between Sam and Tucker. I still can't believe they bet on how I might look with red hair, Danny thought after seeing the list they had of standing bets. It was cool, but Danny looked away from the ocean to where Penny was sitting with BBCC and Mrs. Proud. There was only one girl for him, and if he wanted any future with her, he had to break her heart. I don't know how even to do it. The simplest solution is usually the best, Luke advised Danny. I'm sure you'll find it. Danny nodded, smiling, feeling a little better. Thanks, Luke, wish me luck. Luke nodded, hanging up. As they were sailing to the island, a large blackfish followed them without anyone noticing it. Then, finally, a peanut-like person waved to them when they made it to the pier. How to do, it said. Brother kind of funny lookin'? Look at the size of his melon, Oscar said as he saw the peanut-looking person. Oscar, don't be so insensitive, he could be an island native, Trudy said. And we live in a world where superheroes, monsters, aliens, and ghosts exist. So this is not the weirdest thing, Danny added. They made it to the pier as the peanut person introduced himself as Cashew and welcomed them warmly. He took them to their quarters, and it was 4 island huts. I hope you will find everything you need for a compatible stay. Here the keys to the minibar and the jacuzzis in the back, Cashew explained. Suga Mama was interested in the jacuzzi and wanted to go there to get her skin wrinkles. When Oscar says a snide comment, Suga Mama hits him with her cane. Cashew mentioned that the owner invited them to a luau to get their traditional island attire from the closet. A luau. Oh, Penny. I'll bet there will be a lot of singing and dancing. Also, I think you will have fun dancing and singing with Danny, Trudy said, which confused Penny. Why you want me to dance with Danny, Mama, when I have a guy I like, 15 cents, she asked. Come on, Penny, Danny is a nice guy, and you should give him a chance, Trudy said, trying to convince her. Penny sighed, and she didn't want to upset her mom on this vacation. Okay, Mama, I'll dance with him. Danny now has a chance to win Penny back without breaking her heart. Danny and the Prouds went to the huts to get their island attire. Penny didn't want to get to her island attire, but she had no say in it. She wore a yellow top, a grass skirt and a headdress with pineapple and 2 golden rings on the side. She wasn't happy, and she wasn't happy that Danny was staring at her in a lovesick way. Why are you staring at me like that? Penny asked. I think you look really pretty in that, Danny said, love-struck. Penny slightly blushed at the comment even though she still liked 15 cent more than Danny. As the island owner introduced the entertainment for this evening, Danny had a weird feeling that he had seen this guy before, but he decided to break the spell that Penny had. The music began to play, and the peanut people started to sing. Then, Danny took Penny's hand and began to dance with her. At first, Penny didn't care, but she soon began to enjoy dancing with Danny. Penny couldn't explain it, but it felt that her heart was beating fast and butterflies in her stomach when they danced. What was going on? No one noticed that the peanut people were stealing things from the Prouds like shoes, a piece of hair, a toenail, drinks, and a bottle. They also didn't notice that a random peanut was trying to warn them or something, but they didn't notice him or ignore him. When the song ended, Penny let go of Danny's hand and sat back down. She was now blushing and wondering why she felt so flustered after dancing together. Since you seem much happier, I think you like this song as well, Trudy said, and the peanut people brought a birthday cake. Happy birthday to you. Make a wish, sweetheart. I wish I could dance in halftime show with 15 cents. Please, Daddy, Penny begged her father. Forget it, wish again, Oscar told her. Then I wish to be away from you and this stupid island. Penny blew the cake in Oscar's face and ran off. Oh, Penny, Trudy feeling worried about her daughter. I'll make sure that she is okay, Danny said as he went in the same direction as Penny. Dr. Carver, the island owner, asked Oscar if he wanted a tour of his estate, which he agreed to. At the beach, Penny was skipping rocks at the ocean, complained about not driving or staying up late. She also felt confused why she was feeling something for that boy Danny. Before she could skip another rock, there was something rustling in the leaves. Penny did a fighting pose to defend herself, but no other than Cashew came out of the leaves. How do, he greeted. Cashew, you scared me, Penny said. I was checking to see if you were okay. You seem upset, Cashew said. Yeah. It's a long story, Penny answered. Well, if you want to tell it. I'm all ears. Mostly I'm all head, but you know what I mean, Cashew said. Penny started to tell Cashew all the bad birthdays she had until now. Then I met 15 cents and fell in love with him, but he wouldn't return my feeling for him. He said he has a girlfriend, but I don't believe he has one. Then this guy named Danny said that he was my boyfriend when I had never seen him in my life. After we danced, I started to feel something for him, but I don't know why, and Daddy kept treating me as a baby, Penny explained to Cashew. Wow. That was a long story, Cashew said, surprised at how much Penny complained. Cashew, I wish I understood why I have these strange feelings for Danny? Penny asked him. For what I know about this stuff? I think that you should follow your heart and see where it leads you to, Cashew advised. Follow my heart. Thank you, Cashew, Penny said as she went to the hut where her parents were staying. After getting into an argument with her father, she went back to her room to think of what Cashew said about following her heart. She thought about 15 cents and Danny, but because of her spell, she thought about 15 cents more than she did Danny. She climbed out the window, not waking her siblings, and made sure not to be seen by her parents. She wants to get off the island to be with 15 cents. Penny was trying to create an SOS signal with coconuts, however, they were washed up by the ocean's currents. She felt frustrated by that plan not working. So she walked around the beach to see her parents packing up their things. Are we finally leaving? Thank you, thank you, thank you, Penny said. Let us roll up out of here and get my man. What is this roll up out of here means? Trudy asked. It means that it's time get up out of here, duh, Penny said. Trudy then got a recorder and a tape named Teen Speech 101. She put on some headphones to listen to the tape. What up, y'all? What are we waiting for? Penny asked as she was confused why any of them were driving. You're supposed to drive. It's your mission assignment. Duh, Oscar pointed out. Penny raised an eyebrow at that. Me? Do you want me to drive? You never let me drive. Is this some joke? Where is the hidden camera? Penny asked. I will never joke about the mission, Oscar said. Haha. Okay. Thank you, Daddy, Penny said. Penny did what she learned at driving school, but she reversed the boot. She then put it into drive and drove off. Danny room. Danny was now in a nightmare. He was watching his girlfriend chasing after 15 cents trying to catch him. Danny tried to stop her, but a chain was on his ankle. He was suddenly pulled back. It was Lacey Aniga who was pulling Danny back. She was giving him a lovesick stare. Come on, Danny Pooh. I let Forehead chase after 15 and let us be together as a power couple, she said. He tried to get out of the chains by using his ghost powers, but he couldn't. They were ghost-proof. Get away from me, Swampy, Danny demanded, but he ignored him and tried to kiss him. Then was shaken awake by Oscar. Danny, we need to get out of here. Oscar screams at him. This woke him up, and he wondered what was wrong with Oscar. What is going on, Mr. Proud? Danny asked. Well, Dr. Carver made a deal with me of being partners for his humanoid peanuts for my secret everlasting multiplying formula, Oscar began. Everlasting formula? Danny was confused by that. The everlasting formula is a dipping sauce that makes my pork nut multiple and never go stale, Oscar explained. Wow, that is pretty cool. Does it make the snacks taste better? Danny asked. No. Anyway, Dr. Carver made a deal with me that he'd give me $10 million, and when I was about to make the deal today, a boy named Wally told me not to because he wants to take over the world, Oscar said. Why does every bad guy wants to take over the world? Can they have anything else they want to do? Danny said. Anyway, I wanted to keep the secret formula on my side of our partnership, but Dr. Carver didn't want that. So he tortured me until I told him where the formula was, but he could never break me. So then he decided to say, send in the clones, and I said, clone, then he made clones of my family and me. He didn't make a clone of you, though, because he said that your ectoplasm was hard for him to bond with his cloning technology, Oscar explained. Danny sighed. He didn't want to deal with more clones of himself. Now we have to get Penny and get out of this place, Oscar went to the door. It was locked for the outside. As Oscar was panicking and Danny looked at him with an annoyed look on his face, a peanut person with dreads came down the roof. If you want to survive, you must come with me, Wally said. As this day couldn't get any weirder, Danny said as he phased Oscar and himself out of the room. I hate it when you do that. Give me a shiver up my spine, Oscar complained. They went into Penny's room and learned that she wasn't there. When they learned that Penny wasn't there, they went to the main room to get Trudy and Suga Mama out, then searched for Penny. They found Penny near the pier when they made it through the jungle. After Trudy hugged her daughter, she tasted peanut butter for some reason but didn't care about that. We have to get to the other side of the island. There is only one person that can help you now, Wally said. Is this the new part of the mission? Penny asked. Yeah. It's a mission of saving our necks. Now let us move. Now, Penny, you and Danny carry the twins and don't give me any lip, Oscar demanded. Penny did as she was told and made a basket carrier out of leaves. Danny was about to carry Bibi, but Penny took Bibi out of his hands and put the twins in the basket. They went to the summit of the mountain trail. Danny asked if he could fly them over there, but the Prouds declined his offer. While Trudy and a scared Oscar, afraid of heights, took the small path near the mountain. Sugamama and Puff were rock climbing. Finally, Penny decided to climb the mountain itself. Trudy was worried about her children and hoping they wouldn't fall, but Danny was in his ghost form looking out for Penny. When rock came tumbling down, Penny, who was about to react, was saved by Danny. He blasts the rock with a ghost ray. Penny was surprised that Danny acted quickly and saved her life even though she could have destroyed the rock herself. Proud family house. Penny, who was with her family, that was clones, made it back home. They came out of the taxi, and clone Oscar paid the driver $1,000. The clone family synchronized their watches and searched for something that Penny didn't care about even though she thought it weird. Penny's friend came over to greet her and wondered how her trip was. Bizarre. Ever since this morning, my mom has been talking like she's straight up street, Penny answered. Man, this WHP is whack, homie. Where the secret formula, yo? Trudy asked as she looked in the hood of the car. And Sugamama, I can't even understand her, Penny added. No hinata en esta caja. Sugamama said. And my dad been acting dash, before Penny could say what was wrong with her dad. Daughter, would you mind holding this currency? Oscar gave her a stack of money. Kinda cool, Penny smiled at getting money. What about Danny? Zoe asked. I don't know where he is at? Penny said. You must have scared him off with that big forehead of yours, Lasaniga said. No, I didn't, Penny said back. Then where is my Danny Pooh? Lasaniga asked. Danny Pooh? Penny said. Yeah, he is rich, cute, and way out of your league proud. Lasaniga said. Whatever, Lasaniga, Penny said. Penny then felt a hint of jealousy about Lasaniga kissing Danny for some reason and didn't know why. Anyway, I bet your dad is not cool enough to let you go to the dance rehearsal tomorrow, Lasaniga added. Penny turned her head away from her, ignoring what she said. I feel you, girl, but we spare change dancers have a pre-rehearsal shopping to do. After a group hey they left. As Penny walked up to her dad with a sour look, Oscar noticed the frown on her face. What is it, daughter? Oscar asked. Come on. Dad, don't rub it in. You know I'm the only one who can't go to the dance rehearsals, Penny explained. Do you think your attendance will advance our primary mission? Oscar asked. Well, yeah, I think so, Penny feeling unsure what her dad meant. Most definitely. Then perhaps you should participate, Oscar answered. For real? Oh, thank you. You're the best daddy in the whole world. Penny hugged Oscar. She ran into her room and turned on the radio as the radio announcer mentioned the Stuffball Championship and girls that could be spare change dancers. Penny stacked up a lot of things to kiss a picture of 15 cents, but she fell when the thing holding her up toppled over. Penny laughed at that, and a box that her dad gave her fell on her lap. She opened it up and saw a peeling necklace. She put it on and looked in the mirror. I have the best dad in the world, she said. She then notices a picture of her and Danny at the carnival together, and Penny then felt something ting in her heart, and tears began to fall off her face. Why I'm crying, it's not like Danny and I are a couple, she said to herself. She kept crying as someone was watching her in the closet. It's like she made a huge mistake. Island. It was late at night when Danny tried to approach Penny. She was walking at the front of the group, moving things out of the way and clearing a path. She must be really worried about keeping her family safe, Danny thought, admiring how caring his girlfriend would be. Too bad right now she didn't remember being his girlfriend, thanks to Ember. Danny wanted to make things right, but he just didn't know how to do it. He couldn't hurt Penny. Danny felt a hand on his shoulder. Danny turned to see Suga Mama looking knowingly at him. It's hard, ain't son? She asked, looking at Penny, hurting the ones you love. Danny nodded. I've fought ghosts, aliens, and demons, but I can't break her heart. I can't hurt her. Suga Mama nodded understandably. Pain ain't something you can protect people from, Danny, she told him. Everyone gets a taste of pain at one point or another. Suga Mama looked at Penny, but it's the people who love us who help us heal. Suga Mama walked back towards Mr. and Mrs. Proud, leaving Danny alone. Danny walked silently for another hour until they made camp. Danny watched Penny sit away from the others with a sour expression on her face. Suga Mama was right, Danny had to talk to Penny. He had to break the spell so things would be hard. It wasn't going to be easy, far from it, but they'd be better for it in the future. Danny walked over to Penny. Could I sit down? He asked. I have no objection to your request, Penny answered, making Danny raise an eyebrow at his girlfriend talking like Luke used to before he sat down. Look, Penny, you have to know that Danny let out a heavy breath. This was going to be harder than fighting Pariah Dark. It's over between us, and after we get off this island, I want nothing to do with you. Danny watched for any reaction to seeing if the spell had been broken, but nothing happened. Not a thing did she not hear him. Did the spell breaking make her pass out? That is fine, Penny answered. You are not a factor of the directive, therefore, your feelings towards me are non-important to the matter at hand, Penny said, standing up walking away, leaving Danny frowning. Something wasn't right here. Danny didn't know what. Later that morning, Danny was trying to think of a way to get Penny out of the love spell she was under and why she was acting so weird now. Trudy saw Danny in deep thought, and she decided to come over to the boy. Danny, what is the matter? Trudy asked. Well, I tried breaking the spell that your daughter is in by breaking up with her to break her heart, but she didn't even react to that. So I just don't know what to do now to break the spell on her, Danny explained. I don't know how you can break the spell on my baby, but you find a way to break, Danny, Trudy said. Danny nodded and looked back at his girlfriend. He should try to get his girlfriend back to her senses one last time. Danny walked up to Penny to talk to her one last time before he had to do what Ember told him to. Penny, he called out. Penny turned over to him with a serious glare on her face. What do you want, Danny? I want to say that I don't care if you are under a spell or not, but I still love you, and I will get you back to normal, Danny said. As I said before, you are not a part of my directive, Penny said to him. I don't care because you're my directive. I love you, Penny proud, and I will find a way to break you out of this stupid spell, and we are together again, Danny said. That surprised Penny. If you love me, then you will help me on my mission? Penny asked, which confused Danny. Okay then? Danny said. I'll signal you when I need you for the mission. She kissed him on the lips. When the kiss ended, Danny felt something wrong with it. It didn't feel like Penny at all. When they made it to the other side of the island, the Prouds and Danny met Wally's father, who was Dr. Carver. Everyone was shocked, but Penny, who pressed a button on her watch that alerted Dr. Carver, she knew. The real Dr. Carver explained that they were dealing with was a clone. This is sounding like a bad comic book plot, Danny muttered. Dr. Carver revealed that he was the great-great-grandson of George Washington Carver. He then asked who knew of the making of the peanut. Dang, I should have listened to Mr. Lancer about that, Danny muttered, wishing he listened in history class. Oh, me, pick me. I got it. Oscar waved his hand like a kid in class. Dr. Carver pointed to Oscar, who explained the brief history of George Washington Carver and his use of the peanut. Danny was impressed by Oscar's knowledge, but that impressive moment went away after taunting Suga Mama. Shoo, you can't say nothing because I know my nuts, Oscar said proudly. I know you are nuts, too, Suga Mama taunted. As Danny chuckled at Suga Mama's comment, Carver explained that he was interested in peanut research and wanted to create a new life form from the peanut genome. So he moves to this island to start the experiments with peanut cloning technology. But unfortunately, the first experiment failed, so Carver had to scrap them and turn them into peanut butter all beside one. His second attempt was a success, and he called them the genomes. The genomes became like family to him, but Carver wanted a protege to inherit all he knew. So he combined his DNA, which was a success. But one day, he stayed in the sun too long, and it burned his body. It made him want to seek revenge. Danny felt sad for the doctor. But, unlike the crazed Fruit Loop, at least Carver cared about his creations even though he turned the first Bach into peanut butter. He wanted to create a friend, not a monster. Carver said that after he got burned, he disguised himself and did evil experiments trying to see the world what peanuts were capable of. Then he forced the friendly genomes as his servants. Only Wally stays by his father's side. The clone of my father is working on something big and very, very bad, Wally said. This made everyone gasp at what the clone had done. That is why he wanted my special kicking donkey sauce, but don't sweat. Those clones will never know where I hid it, he told him. Where did you hide it, Oscar? Trudy asked. Somewhere very special. Inside Penny's birthday necklace. Where did you put it, sweetie? Oscar asked Penny. I am unauthorized to answer your question, Penny, unable to answer him. Danny sees this, and he now knows that Penny is acting weirder. Then it hit him, the taste of peanut butter, her acting cold toward him, and her saying the weird thing. After Carver's story about the peanut butter clones, he hopes that he was wrong, that Penny wasn't one of them. I think what she is trying to say is that she didn't open your gift, Oscar. It's still sitting in the box at home in Penny's bedroom, Trudy said. This made Penny smile knowing where the secret formula is. Carver told the family that he had a boat to get them off the island, but they were surrounded by the genomes and cloned Dr. Carver when he opened the door. Oh, come on! Danny yelled. We know all about you, Peanut Brittle, Oscar said. How did you find us? Trudy asked. Clone Carver looked at his watch. Penny told me, he said. Everyone beside Danny gasped. Why me? Danny muttered to himself. Penny backflipped to Clone Carver's side. I can't believe this. My daughter sold us out. Penny, why? Oscar asked. Take them away, Clone Carver said as the genomes took them. Danny, however, wasn't going to let that happen. You're not taking anyone's way. I'm going ghost. So Danny transformed and tried to stop the genomes from taking Oscar and the others. However, Danny was kicked away from the genomes by Clone Penny. I wouldn't do that if I were you, sweetheart, she said in a monochrome voice. Oh, great, I attracted another admirer, but this time having the face of my girlfriend, Danny muttered as Clone Penny charged at him. Proud family's house. Penny then looked at the picture book with Danny and her on it. She thought Danny looked really cute in these pictures with her. There was one picture where he was in a tuxedo while Penny was in a pretty red dress. The pictures were of them at the dance, making Penny think what Danny said was true after seeing them having a deep passionate kiss. Is Danny really my boyfriend? Penny questioned before her father called out to her. Daughter, it's time to go to the rehearsal, he said. Penny got out of her room and came downstairs. Suga Mama was there looking for something by lifting the TV and couch. Penny thought it was weird, but she raced out the door and into Oscar's car. As Oscar drove her to the rehearsal, Penny wondered if she should tell her father about the picture with her and Danny. But unfortunately, she didn't get the chance as they made it to the building where the rehearsal was taking place. We are here, daughter, Oscar said. Penny left the car before she hugged Oscar and kissed. Thank you for the birthday gift, and you're the bomb. I'm the bomb? I the bomb. Oscar said in a happy tone. Before he could drive off, his watch began to beep. Father, Penny said on the watch. Daughter, I thought you went out of the car, he asked. No, I'm still on the island, and you with the real Penny proud. She has the formula in her necklace. Do not fail the mission, Clone Penny said. I will not fail the mission, Oscar said as he called the other clones. In the rehearsal area, Penny went to 15 cents and went over to him. Hey 15, she said calmly. The rapper hopped that Penny was free from Ember's spell of being in love with him. If not, he will do what his cousin does with Daijone and run for the hills. I'm sorry for the way I acted, 15 cents. I shouldn't have forced my way on you. I also think that Danny and I clicked a little more after seeing the picture of him and me. So I hope you can forgive me, Penny said. Yeah, I forgive you, Penny. You were under a spell from that ghost rocket chick. 15 said, are you going to get back with Danny? I'll call him if he wants to talk, Penny said as she got out her phone. She was lucky that she didn't delete Danny's phone number in her cell phone. Penny was a little bit nervous about calling Danny after the last time they saw each other. The last time they spoke was on the island, and she was hoping that Danny wasn't too mad that she left him behind. But then, the phone rang, and Danny picked up. Penny, Danny said, surprised. Danny was in the air trying to avoid the clone of Penny and save Penny's family. He was happy that Penny was calling him, but now wasn't the best time. Hey, Danny, Penny said. I was wondering if you wanted to talk about us. Well, yeah, I guess so, Danny said. Great. So can we have lunch after the rehearsal is done? Penny said. Okay. Danny said with a slight grin on his face. Bye. Penny said as she hung up the phone. Danny had a slight grin on his face before realizing that he didn't tell her that her parents were clones and her real family was here. He sighed loudly, and he flew toward the cage that Penny's family was in now. The rehearsal went without any problems. 15 Cents was impressed by Zoe's dancing style and said that she might have a future in dancing if she kept on practicing. Zoe felt happy about the compliment and became more confident in becoming a dancer. After the rehearsal, Oscar drove Penny home with his eyes looking at Penny's necklace. When they made it home, Penny rushed over to her room to find some cute clothes to wear for her lunch date with Danny. However, she learned that Cashew was in her closet. How do, he greeted. What are you doing here? Penny asked. Just checking out your wardrobe. But, you could use a little bit more variety, Cashew said. Penny glared at him before he sighed. Okay, I stowed away on the boot and followed you here because I wanted to see what it is like to have a real family. But the only problem is that you don't have a real family either, Cashew explained. Whatcha talkin' about, Cashew? Penny asked, wondering what he meant. You're really family and Danny's still on the island being held captive. Those people downstairs are peanut clones sent here by the evil Dr. Marcus Garvey Carver, the second to find your father's secret formula so he can take over the world, Cashew explained. Wait, you're saying that my family is a forgery, Penny said. Cashew shook his head, and Penny started to laugh. She thought that Cashew was kidding and went downstairs to tell her family that Cashew was here. When she comes downstairs, Penny notices that her parents and Suga Mama act stranger than normal. Hey guys, Cashew is here, and he said that you are clones. Isn't that funny? Penny said, but her family said nothing. Then her father took the necklace from Penny and started to make a run for it. "Daddy, where are you going, and why did you take my necklace?" Penny asked as she ran after them. "It's a part of the mission," Oscar said as he and his family left the house on a blimp. "They are clones? Was Cashew telling the truth? My family and Danny are in danger." Penny was taking this all in as she started to panic. "Don't worry, Penny, we'll save them," Cashew said. Penny took a deep breath and went back to her house. "Penny, where are you going?" Cashew asked. Penny then came back out with her regular clothes on and a serious expression on her face. "Let's save my family and Danny, Cashew," Penny said as she put Cashew in her backpack. "How are we going to save them, Penny?" Cashew asked. "We are going back to the island, then I'll think of something," Penny answered. Island. Penny's family was trapped in a cage over a cliff where a black sea monster was about to eat them. But, before they could get eaten, the real Dr. Carver recognized the sea monster. "Bobo," the doctor said. The sea monster grunted and looked at the doctor. Bobo was surprised to see the doctor again after all this time. "I never thought I'd see you again after I wanted to turn you into peanut butter." Carver apologized to him. "Ah, isn't that sweet?" Freaky but sweet, Suga Mama liking the scene between the sea monster and the doctor. Unlike some people he knows, Danny liked that this doctor cared for his creations. Danny was then attacked by the Penny clone again. Someone came out a blimp, and it was the clones of Penny's family. "Ah, you got the formula that I asked for," Oscar Clone said. "Great job, my clones," Clone Carver said. Danny tried to fire Ectoblast on Clone Carver, but the clone version of Oscar blocked the shot. So Danny then fires more Ectoblasts only to be blocked by Oscar, Trudy, and Suga Mama clones. After that, however, they started to crack from the multiple Ectoblasts that they were blocking until they shattered into nothing but peanuts. Carver started to clone his peanut army as Danny dealt with the Proud Family clones. Danny tried to stop him from cloning anymore, but the clone of his girlfriend stopped him. Danny and clone Penny charged at each other. Trees began to rumble, and the ground shook as Danny blocked a blow from the clone Penny. "I am so sick of evil clones," Danny thought, annoyed, pushing back the peanut clone of his girlfriend, hitting her in the nose. Peanut butter dripped out like a nosebleed until she realigned her nose with a crack that turned Danny's stomach. "Okay, I am never eating peanut butter again," Danny swore aloud as the clone leaped at him, diving down with a kick. Danny leaped out of the way. The ground rumbled and shook Penny's foot, leaving a crater. "Hold up, how'd she do that?" Oscar asked wide-eyed from where he and the rest of the Prouds and the actual Dr. Carver. "Because dummy, I engineered my super peanut clones to be stronger than the original," the evil peanut mad scientist explained, "and the new and improved version of Penny is as fast as the Black Marvel and as strong as Vaxasaurian," he boasted as clone Penny leaped up, pinning him to the ground with her elbow. Danny let out a choked breath. Penny, who made it on the island by getting a boat from 15 cents, "Hey, get off him," Penny yelled with Cashew. Danny didn't even get the chance to phase out of the way. Instead, she pushed him down, putting more pressure on his neck. The clone glared at the original Penny Proud. "We meet at last, Penny. But we can't have an inferior Penny Proud here because I'm the superior one. And I will take the thing you hold dear to you," she said with a predatory smile. The wait, is she seriously going to? The clone kissed him before Danny could even finish asking himself that question. He knew the first kiss tasted like peanut butter, but now her lips tasted like expired peanut butter. It made Danny want to GG. Something in Penny finally snapped as the spell was finally broken. "Get your slimy lips off my boo, you peanut freak," Penny shouted before looking to Cashew. No offense. None taken." Hearing that, Danny wanted to cheer, but he still had the super strong peanut clone to take care of. Until he didn't know when a black tentacle grabbed the clone, throwing her into the ocean. "Thanks, Bobo," the actual Dr. Carver said, petting them. "Giant sea monster, good boy throwing away that nasty lady." Yes, she was nasty. Penny ran over to Danny, hugging him. "Oh Danny, I'm so happy you're all right." "You remember me?" Danny asked. Penny nodded. "Of course, I remember you. You're my boyfriend," she said, kissing him, wiping away the nasty taste of that peanut clone's lips on his forever. Danny had his girlfriend back. "Yho. Danny and Penny parted. "Man, I miss doing that," Danny told her. Penny laughed. "We'll make up for lost time later, but now let's go save the world." Dr. Carver gave something to Danny and Penny. "It looks like bug spray that farmers use to get rid of bugs." "What's this?" Danny asked. "That is the antidote that I use to turn the genomes back into peanut butter," he answered. Both nodded, and Danny picked Penny up bridal style, flying after the evil Dr. Carver's blimp to stop him and his evil peanut clone army. Man, Danny was so tired of clones. Danny landed on the blimp with Penny in his arms. As he let her down, the clone of Dr. Carver looked in their direction. You think that you can stop me, superhero? Carver said with a smile. Yeah, I can. But let my girlfriend be the hero today, Danny said with a smirk as his girlfriend pressed the peanut butter serum in the blimp. This causes all the super genome warriors to turn into nothing but peanut butter. No. You can't do this to me. I'm the greatest of my time. Carver yelled before turning into peanut butter. Oh yeah, boo, we did it. Penny high-fived Danny. You've done a great job there, baby, Danny said as they were about to kiss before they realized something. Wait, who's driving the blimp if we got rid of all the peanut people? Penny said as Danny grabbed her by the waist and phased to the blimp's controls. We could have got rid of the peanut people after the blimp landed, Danny said, thinking that they should have thought this one through a little bit more. Danny and Penny pulled at the controls trying to stop the ship from crashing into the city. However, the controls were stuck, and they couldn't pull the ship up. Keep a hold of me, and I'll turn this whole blimp intangible to save the city, Danny said. Penny held on to Danny, and he turned the blimp and them intangible. The blimp phased through multiple buildings until Danny saw a place where he could crash the blimp without having anyone harmed. The blimp came down near a large junkyard where Danny turned the blimp tangible, and it crashed on the ground in the junkyard. Penny opened her eyes and saw that Danny could land the blimp in a place with no people. You did it, boo. You stopped the blimp from hurting anyone and saved us, Penny cheered. Danny had a sigh of relief that he could crash the blimp in a place where no one could get hurt. Penny went over to him and peppered him with kisses that Danny didn't mind. Danny was happy that Penny was now back to normal and could be together again as a couple. He hopes that this never happens again. Danny flew towards the pier where Penny's family was on Bobo. After he landed, Trudy went over to Penny and hugged her tightly. Oh, Penny, I'm so glad you're all right and stopped that crazy madman from taking over the world, she said. With my boo by my side, I can do anything. Penny held on to Danny's arm affectionately. Danny blushed over his girlfriend, saying they could do anything together. So are you and Danny back together as a couple, Penny? Oscar asked. Of course, we are, Daddy, Penny answered. I'm glad about that because Danny is one of the few boys I trust to be with you, baby girl, Oscar said with a smile. Suga Mama smiled that Oscar is now accepting Danny as Penny's boyfriend. It took a while for Oscar to get used to it, but it seems Oscar accepts Danny as Penny's boyfriend. Everyone now turns their attention to Carver, who was on Bobo's back. Where are you going, Dr. Carver? Suga Mama asked. To go back to the island and live peacefully with the genomes, Miss Proud, Carver answered. If you ever visit, give a call, Danny said. All right, goodbye, Proud family and Danny, Carver said as Bobo swam back to the island. They all wave goodbye to Dr. Carver and hope that he can live a peaceful life with the genomes. The next day, Penny was allowed to dance with 15 cents at the halftime show because Oscar saw that she could now make decisions on her own after saving the day. Danny in a hoodie was watching his girlfriend dance and was happy that Oscar was allowing her to do this. After the halftime show, Danny took Penny home, and the lights were off. When the lights came on, Penny smiled to see her family there with a birthday cake and a banner that said, Happy Birthday Penny Proud. You guys really did this for me? Penny asked. Yeah, since the last birthday plan didn't go so well, we decided to try again, Trudy answered. Do you like it, baby? I love it, and I love you guys too, Penny said as everyone sang happy birthday to Penny. Penny blew out her candles, and the party began. A familiar blue face figure with samurai armor watched from the shadows outside the Proud family's house. Celebrate now, young Daniel, but I will strp that happiness away from you, the blue figure said as he disappeared in the crack of the sidewalk. It's been over a month since Vlad's secret identity was revealed, and he has been on the run ever since. Vlad has been hiding in the netherworld because no one besides Nilox could enter. I can't believe I lost to Daniel and his new friends. If I could stop them from ruining my plans, I would have been with Maddie by now, Vlad grumbles. A portal suddenly opened up and popped out. What are you doing here? Vlad asked. Well, for contrived reasons, and I'm an evil version. How are you breathing the air of the Sanzu River? Another question came to Vlad. My healing factor, said. Anyway, I want you to have this, gave him a remote control. And what is this? Vlad asked. An interdimensional remote control. You can use it to travel the multiverse, said. Why would you give me this? Vlad asked. Because I'm not the of this universe, but an evil from another universe, the merc with the mouth said. Excellent. Vlad said. And be careful in Universe 15 because there is a really bad dude named Dr. Hyde you don't want to mess with, said as he left. Central City. In Central City, a streak of green lightning was running around fighting with a red cloud of smoke. The streak and the cloud stopped. Vlad smiled, watching his prey in the black and white version of a familiar costume, a lightning bolt symbol on his chest. You certainly are interesting little badger, Vlad said mockingly, or should I call you Flash? Yes, in this particular world, Dannyphantom never became Dannyphantom. Instead, after being struck by a bolt of lightning, he had protected his home as the fastest teen alive. The Flash. You can call me whatever you want, Vlad, Danny said coldly, eyes flashing with green lightning. Just tell me how you got those new powers and how you broke out of the Speed Force prison I threw you into. Vlad laughed. I'm afraid there's been a mistake in identity. I'm not the Vlad Masters you so obviously loathe. I'm another player in this game, Vlad smirked, shooting lasers out of his eyes. Danny could barely dodge them, and what I want is my own business. Vlad and Danny charged at each other, moving faster than the human eye could follow. Flashes of green and red filled the air until Danny grabbed Vlad by the neck, pinning him up against a beam. It's over, Danny said coldly. Vlad laughed. Oh yes, most impressive, Flash, Vlad said, impressed, however, just like my Daniel, you failed to plan 3 moves. 3 of Vlad's clones attacked Danny from all sides. First, the original Vlad joined in surrounding Danny, then they moved in, moving fast punches, kicks, blasts, one discreetly grabbing a sample of his DNA. All the while Vlad laughed, watching his suffering. I have no idea who you've fought before, Flash, but you were a fool to face me by yourself, Vlad mocked, punctuating his words with a kick to Danny's stomach. Danny looked up at Vlad. I'm not alone. Before Vlad could ask what Danny meant, a green arrow flew past Vlad's ear, hitting one of his clones, knocking it back a ball of fire, and a blast of blue energy took out the other 2 clones. And with a second wind, Danny hit Vlad with a hypersonic punch to the jaw, knocking him back. Standing around Flash were this universe's versions of his friends. Mississippi Manson dressed in dark greens with a quiver of arrows on his back and a bow in his hand. Mr. Foley in advanced-looking exoskeleton. It looks like someone's in check, Danny mocked while Sam knocked an arrow into her bow and Tucker's atom suit powered up. Vlad smirked. Oh, impressive, Flash, but still, your weaknesses are out in the open. Turning towards Sam, he fired a blast from his hand, hitting her in the chest, knocking her back several feet. As predicted, Danny let out a furious roar and charged at him blindly while Tucker went to check on their friend. Vlad vanished in a portal of red light, leaving this world. After all, he'd already won. Why prolong the game any further? Paris. Paris, the city of lights and romance capital of the world, is a place Danny would have to get a souvenir for his girlfriend after the mission. Maybe a bottle of perfume or a designer jacket. They'd probably be cheaper here than back in the States maybe. Before Danny could think more about it, his phone started to buzz. Recognizing the number, Danny secured the frequency then answered. Hey Angel, he greeted. Hey yourself, ear boy, his amazing girlfriend of the past 2 years, Angelica said on the other end. Danny laughed at her nickname for him and her, referencing the pointless ears he got when he transformed. So how's Paris? Oh, you know, Danny said from his perch on the Eiffel Tower overlooking the city. It's pretty, but you're prettier. Angelica laughed. Smooth handsome, she told him, trying to hide how flattered she was with snarky comments. It's true, Danny said, seeing his targets had arrived. It looks like Jerry's intel was right on the money. Those were Hydra agents meeting with Gabriel Agresti. Angel, I got to go, Danny said, but as soon as I'm back, it's you and me at Café Les Fleurs for our anniversary at 6. Which means I'll make the reservation for 8 since you can't be on time for a date to save your life, Angelica said honestly before she got sincere. Stay safe, Danny, I love you. Danny nodded. I love you too, Angelica. Plag, if you bring Danny back in one piece, I'll give you Spike's weight in camembert, she told his Kwame before hanging up. Plag flew out of his pocket with a massive smile on his face. That girl spoils us. You got to work for it, remember, Danny said. Plag claws out. Danny transformed into Chat Noir and began his descent towards the arms deal below, unaware that he was also being watched. So this Daniel not only dabbles in espionage but bears the mantle of Chat Noir, Vlad mused, or perhaps it would be Black Cat since this Daniel didn't appear to be a French citizen. Either way, Vlad subtly acquired a genetic sample and left his wounds from his battle with Flash. Daniel had yet to heal. Curse you, Kim Possible, the Dr. Dementor of Earth 104 yelled for the millionth time as he was taken away by the Australian authorities. At the same time, Kim Possible, her boyfriend Ron Stoppable, and their best friend since kindergarten Danny Fenton stood nearby. Booyah KP, another win, Ron said, congratulating his girlfriend. Aha booyah, Rufus chimed in agreement from Ron's pocket. Kim smiled fondly. No big, she said, kissing Ron on the cheek while nearby. Danny rolled his eyes, a smile on his face. He was happy that his friends had gotten together after Draken's plan to make a robot army to take over the world. You two are so nauseatingly sweet. I'm going to get cavities, Danny joked. Kim kissed Ron's cheek before looking at their best friend. Oh, like you're not the same with Lila, she joked, talking about Danny's relationship with his girlfriend and daughter of Avenger Clint Barton. Yeah, well, Lila's aunt is visiting, and that means family time, no boyfriend time, Danny said as they headed towards Kim's car when Danny felt a shiver go down his spine. Something was wrong. Grabbing Kim and Ron, he pulled them back as an explosion tore apart the ground where his friends had once been standing. Danny looked up to see a blue-skinned, red-eyed vampire in black samurai armor with a cape. Ron, this might have something to do with mystic monkey powers, Danny said. Why do you think he's here for me? Ron asked. It's a flying blue man with glowing red eyes dressed in samurai armor. I'll eat my hat if this has nothing to do with mystic monkey powers. You don't wear a hat, Kim chimed in. I'll buy a hat and fill it with nacho cheese. Well then, little badger, I hope you inherited your appetite from your fat idiot of a father, Vlad said, firing a blast from his hands aimed directly at Danny. Danny leaped back, dodging the blast at first, but it changed directions flying towards Danny again. Danny's body glowed purple as he shrank down smaller than Rufus. Growing back to his original size as Kim leaped up, throwing a kick at Vlad, who blocked it with his shield. Kim vaulted over the shield punching Vlad in the back of the head. Vlad turned, backhanding Kim out of the air. KP, Ron yelled, catching Kim's bridal style out of the air. Ron falls over, knocked down by his girlfriend crashing into him. Danny got angry, leave my friends alone. Vlad laughed, the universal constant little badger, and your heart is always worn on your sleeve, he said mockingly, not that a pipsqueak such as yourself could be of service to my plans. Danny grinned, glowing purple again, who says I can just shrink. Danny began to grow and grow until he was the size of a fully grown African elephant. Vlad smiled as Danny ran at Vlad, throwing a punch. Vlad stopped Danny's punch with a finger pushing him back. Danny crashed down with a thundering crash. Taking the sample he needed, Vlad snapped his fingers, vanishing through a portal. Bellwood. It was late at night in an old warehouse. Dannyphantom of Earth 74 was skulking around invisibly, looking for any sign of DN alien activity. So far, he found nothing. Finally, Danny pulled out his plumber's badge that he'd inherited from his mom. Anyone see anything? Danny asked. We've got nothing, Tucker and Kai chimed in. The tech-savvy members of their team had found nothing. Same here, Lucy and Sam chimed in. Maybe, Argit's lead was a dud. Danny shrugged, not that his friends could see it was possible, but with Hybrid covertly leading a secret invasion of Earth, they had to be through. The DN aliens could be anywhere. They should look for a little bit longer before calling it a night. Danny was pulled out of his thoughts when he heard a blast and a flash of red light. Danny frowned, his eyes glowing purple, his body turning gray with black veins. The human ectonorite hybrid flew through the warehouse, finding Sam and Lucy on the ground. Sam, Lucy, Danny rushed over, checking Sam's neck and Lucy's right shoulder for their pulses. Then, feeling them both, Danny let out a sigh of relief. Oh, thank goodness, he muttered, reaching for his badge. Kai, Tucker, come in. Someone attacked Sam and Lucy. Danny heard static on the other end, making his heart drop as he worried about his friends. Oh no. Danny instantly turned intangible, a familiar sword passing his neck harmlessly. Kai's sword Excalibur. Danny leaped away to see some blue-skinned Dracula wannabe in samurai armor holding his friend's sword in one hand and the collars of Kai and Tucker in the other. Danny growled furiously, his eyes glowing purple. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. Danny didn't know who this was, but he would show him why it was never a good idea to hurt an ectonorite's loved ones. The samurai smirked mockingly, as expected, he said, tossing them high into the air. Danny's widened. He flew up quickly, catching Kai bridal style and catching her boyfriend the same way, landing. He set down his friends just in time for the samurai to appear in front of him, knocking him into a pillar. Danny didn't even have time to turn intangible before an elbow was in his stomach, making him hunch over, gasping for breath. His wallet fell out of his pocket. Opening, he saw a picture of him and his girlfriend Lenny Loud on their first date. I'm sorry, Lenny. Danny thought he didn't think he would make it out of this one alive. You're the weakest one I've faced, but even a pawn has its place on the chessboard. The flat of Excalibur hit Danny in the back, knocking him face first into the floor. Danny looked up to see the samurai smirk at him before stepping into a portal. New York. On Earth 321 in New York, Danny dressed in a black and white tracksuit with a face mask aimed with a Yumi bow at a disguised Krong guard. Danny saw his friends in position, watching the shadows, notching an arrow. He aimed, waiting for the moment to strike, and fired, hitting the Krong bot before he could even start talking in the third person. Danny grinned, watching his friend sneak in undetected. He was about to move into his next position when he was hit in the neck from behind. Struggling to remain conscious, he looked up to see a blue-skinned man in black samurai armor looking like the legends Mstr Splinter had told about the Nylocks. But weren't those supposed to be just myths? The possible Nylock smiled at him, saying something Danny couldn't understand before it vanished in a red portal. Riffside. Dannyphantom of Earth 220 was feeling a little nervous. Okay, scratch that, a lot nervous, as he stood outside the door to the restaurant. Come on, Fenton, you can do this, he thought. You fight Tyrannodrones and Mesogog's goons, but a first date is what scares you. Shaking his head, Danny walked inside, seeing his date waiting by the bench. Danny gulped. She looked gorgeous in the red knee-length dress she was wearing. He walked over to her with a nervous smile on his face. Hi, Penny, Danny said with a smile, these are for you. Penny smiled, standing up, taking the roses. Thanks, Danny, they're so pretty. Danny smiled, thanking Kyra for her advice. The two had a nice time at dinner. While he was walking her home, a red blast flew towards them. Acting quick, he used his Dino Gem's power to make a green shield around his arm to deflect the blast. Seeing the monster who did it, Danny growled, looking at Penny. Run, he told her, I'll try to keep his attention. But Danny dash. Don't argue, just run, Danny said, running at the monster. He threw a quick series of punches followed by a sidekick to the monster's armored chest, sending it flying back. Danny looked back to see Penny had run. He was happy she was safe, and he doubted he would get a second date. Boy, Mesogog has gotten real petty if he's making monsters just to mess with our love lives, Danny said, activating his Dinomorpher. Dino Thunder power up, Danny called, morphing into the Green Ranger. Spinosaurus, Danny called out, running at the monster who bobbed and weaved around his punches, eyeing him up and down. Oh yes, interesting, very interesting, he commented. How's this for interesting, Danny asked, bringing out his Spinosabers and spinning them in circles. He swung them in a pattern up-down, left-right, but the monster just bobbed and weaved, making a shield. Oh yes, certainly more impressive than some of the others I've seen, he said, flying up. Danny's eyes widened. This was a new one as the monster duplicated into 4. This was also a new one. How are you doing that? Danny asked. Years of practice, the monster said before they all rushed at him, hitting him with a barrage of blows so fast Danny couldn't even see them. The monster combined back into one and fired a blast of black fire that sent Danny flying back, crashing into someone's mailbox, powering down. The monster grinned. Yes, you'll do nicely for my plans, Green Dino Ranger, he said mockingly, vanishing in a red portal. Ghost Zone. On Earth 202, Dannyphantom was trapped by his worst enemy, yet over Thanatos, the self-proclaimed god of death. Over the years, the armored villain had laid siege to the world superheroes seemingly at random. A close friend of Danny's, Jenny Wakeman, had almost been damaged beyond repair. Every time they tried to catch Thanatos, he'd been one step ahead of them, mocking them. No one knew how he did it, though Danny knew some people were suspecting a spy. Now Danny knew exactly how Thanatos did it. Thanatos knew everything that would happen because he'd already lived through it. Danny struggled against the magic holding him. You're not going to get away with, Danny shouted, even if I'm gone, Kim and the others will figure things out and stop you. Thanatos laughed, his blonde hair now free of the helmet he'd kept it in, blue in the breeze. How exactly are they going to do that? Danny, the dark, twisted future self of his girlfriend's best friend Ron, laughed. My past self is such a good-hearted simpleton they'd never suspect my previously self is in my subconscious. Thanatos grinned. You thought I was your evil self freed from his prison. Danny did think that when he came to this meeting because Thanatos was using magic to imitate all of Danny's ghost powers. I've seen this happen 1,000 times in 1,000 ways, Thanatos went on. When Kim perishes, you'll take the blame, and my ascension will be clear, he began to monologue. For 20 years, I'll build my power, weakening the so-called heroes one by one. Then when the time is right I'll travel back in time, first appearing to you as Thanatos. Thanatos knelt, looking Danny in the eye. In the name of our past friendship, I'll give you a sporting chance to stop me. Thanatos snapped his fingers, freeing Danny, placing his helmet back on, red eyes glaring back through the skull face. I'll tell them the truth. They'll stop you, Danny told Thanatos. You'll try, Thanatos admitted, but she will never believe you no matter how much Kim loves you. Thanatos laughed, vanishing in red light, leaving Danny alone to suffer. My quite impressive, Vlad admitted from his hidden spot while this Daniel had no real use for him. Nevertheless, Vlad didn't mind stopping to watch another MSTR strategist at work. It was certainly quite the show. But now Vlad had his plan to unleash and his Earth to conquer. Perhaps later, Vlad would test himself against this Thanatos. Dimsdale. Vlad appeared in the universe 303. He looked for Danny in this universe, which he did, but something was off. Danny was running in fear and seemed to be trying to escape something or someone. Oh, Danny. Stop playing hard to get and come to me, a girl with orange hair, wearing a green shirt and black pants and shoes. Vlad recognized her as one of the 4 ladies he could not find when he kidnapped Danny's previous dates. Of course, Vlad didn't know where that girl was, but he didn't care. Oh, there you are, my prince, Vicky said as she dragged Danny out of his hiding spot. Let me go, Vicky, Danny said, trying to get away from the evil babysitter. No way, handsome. When I babysit that twerp, Timmy Turner, we will make out until his parents get home, Vicky said in a sick love way. No way, Vicky. I'm never kissing you ever, Danny yelled, but Vicky paid no attention to it. Oh, Danny, you're being shy again. That's why I fell in love with you, Vicky said. I guess I won't need DNA for this, Daniel Ether, Vlad said as he left. Danny phased into his house after the party, and he saw his mother and father, who had big smiles on their faces. What's with the smiles? Danny asked them. We got good news for you, Danny, Maddie said. Danny had finally woken up, and it seems that the energy we discovered the last year was the morphin grid, Maddie explained. The morphin what? Danny asked. The morphin grid, Danny, Jack said. The morphin grid is the source of energy that Power Rangers use to morph into the Rangers. It seems that the morphin grid could wake up Danny because of its powers, Maddie explained to Danny. Now that we know that this is the morphin grid, we are going to use it to make a Power Ranger team that will deal with the ghost if you're not there, Jack said. You're going to make a Power Ranger team? And how did you that was the morphin grid? Danny asked his parents. We learn about the morphin grid from a person from Grid Battle Force who told us what it was, and they decided to help us make these a new Ranger team, Maddie explained to Danny. What is the name of this Power Ranger team? Danny asked them. We call them Power Rangers Phantom Force, Jack said. Phantom Force? Danny was confused about the name. Rolls off the tongue, does it, Danny? Jack asked. It's an okay name, Danny answered. Jack threw a wrist device and a key to Danny, which he barely caught. Danny was puzzled about what this was and why his dad would give this to him. This is the Phantom Morpher and the Phantom Key, and you can use it to become a Phantom Force Ranger if something happens, Jack explained. Why are you giving this to me, Dad? Danny asked. I'm giving you this because if something happens that your powers can't handle, then you can use this as a backup, Maddie explained. Alright, Mom, Danny said as he put the wrist device in his pocket. Danny and Danny went upstairs to talk about what had happened before Danny woke up from her coma. Danny and his cousin went into his room, and Danny began to tell Danny about this week. Wow! So there are peanut clones on an island with a father that loves them. I'm kind of jealous of them, Danny said. Yeah, Danny answered. Danny looked at a picture that had Danny and Penny together. Danny's arm was around Penny's waist. Wow, your girlfriend is really pretty, Danny said as she looked at the picture. Yeah, she is really pretty, Danny said with a blush. You must like her, don't you, cuz? Danny teased. Like her? No, I love her, Danny said with a smile on his face. Wow, you got it bad, cuz, Danny teased. Yeah, she is funny, smart, spunky, and appealing, Danny told his cousin of what he loves about Penny. I can't wait to meet her, cuz, Danny said as she went to the door. I know my Penny is going to love you when she sees you, Danny mentioned. Alright then, I'll see you in the morning cuz, Danny left Danny's room. The next day, Danny was on cloud 9 as he got ready for his first date with Penny since Ember's prank to mess with them, then dealing with more clones and stopping the evil clone of Dr. Carver from invading with his army of peanut people. Wow, Danny thought, putting on one of his nicer dress shirts, how weird is my life that evil peanut people do not faze me. Danny shook his head. Checking himself over in the mirror, he found his parents and Danielle stroking Vlad's former cat behind the ears while it sat in her life. Cats loved his sister. Danny smiled at him. You look nice, she complimented. Guess the tabloids are going to have to find a new couple to mock. Yep, Danny said with a dopey grin, you know what to do if a ghost shows up that you can't handle. Danny sighed, exasperated. Yes, I call for backup, she said before muttering, you get captured by a ghost one time. The way I heard it from Henry, he chased you across 5 states before he captured you, Danny reminded, having heard the story a few dozen times over the years. Danny's mature answer to that was to stick out her tongue. Danny laughed, messing with her hair. I'll be back by curfew, he promised, keep an eye on her. Hey, I'm a good cat owner, Danny quipped, a smile on her face. I was talking to the cat, Danny quipped back before he flew off. He had a date with his perfect match. Danny and Penny were walking out of the restaurant. They were close to each other, her arm around his waist and hers around his shoulder as Danny led his girlfriend to a carriage. Penny's eyes widened. The driver smiled at them. Mr. Fenton, Mississippi proud, he said, opening the door. Danny, you shouldn't have, Penny said happily that her boyfriend had made such a nice romantic gesture. After what we went through, I want to spend as much time as possible with you, Danny told her, helping her get into the carriage getting in after her. Penny smiled, placing a kiss on Danny's cheek before the carriage pulled away driving to the park. After the carriage ride, Danny and Penny walked around the park together holding hands, just happy to really be back together after Ember's prank. I'm glad you're back, Penny, Danny said, hugging her. I'm not going anywhere, Penny told him, hugging back. The teenage couple leaned in about to kiss when Danny heard a whistling sound getting louder and louder. It almost sounded like. Acting fast, Danny held tight onto Penny, turning the two of them intangible as an arrow passed through Danny and Penny's torso. Danny frowned. Okay, I don't know who the Hawkeye wannabe is, but you've messed with me on a wrong night, Danny said, going ghost looking around. He saw green eyes surrounding them coming into the light, revealing more versions of him wearing Nylok samurai armor. Oh great, Danny thought, annoyed more clones. Can't Vlad think of any other plan? While Danny and Penny were on their date, Sam and Tucker were at his house playing Smash Brothers. Well, more like Sam with Link had sent Samus flying off the arena again. After the 12th defeat in a row, Tucker dropped the controller in annoyance. I'm the techno geek. How are you so much better at video games than me? Sam shrugged with a victorious smile on her face. No one can do everything, she told Tucker. Want to go again? You're on, he said, starting another round. So how do you think Danny and Penny's date is going? Tucker asked, trying to blast Link with a missile, but Sam flipped over it, hitting him with a boomerang. I'm sure by now they have a romantic carriage ride through the park, Sam said, having paid for the date so Danny and Penny could have a wonderful time together. Danny at first had tried to refuse, but Sam had put her combat boot-wearing foot down, saying that Danny moping around and getting angry had driven everyone crazy, and he either took the money now or Sam went behind his back and paid for it. Tucker smiled. Good for them, he said while trying to get the smash ball. He was about to break it before Sam used her move to get it and deal damage on him. Any last words, Tucker? Sam asked playfully as she was about to finish him again. Before Tucker could think of anything, the Nylok detectors installed in their watches went off. Becoming serious, they turned off the game. Tucker pushed a button on his watch in a flash. His steel Spectre suit was on the beret on his head, turning into his helmet, ready to go. Sam nodded, born ready. Danny frowned. Okay, I don't know who the Hawkeye wannabe is, but you've messed with me on a wrong night, Danny said, going ghost looking around. He saw green eyes surrounding them coming into the light, revealing more versions of him wearing Nylok samurai armor. Oh great, Danny thought, annoyed more clones. Can't Vlad think of any other plan? Penny gets to safety call for help, Danny told his girlfriend. Penny nodded about to run off before another arrow shot through the air and cut her off. Sorry, but I think your friend is better where she is, his voice called from somewhere in the trees. Danny growled, annoyed. The other clones circling like sharks in the water. Danny needed to get Penny out of here and keep these guys away from civilians until backup came. So Danny fired a blast at the clone in front of him, who didn't even move, the blast going right through him. Okay, that wasn't normal. Danny, since when can intangibility block your ghost rays? Penny asked. It can't, Danny said, grabbing Penny, pulling her out of the way as one of Danny's clones ran at her, throwing a punch. Danny spun her around, blocking the punch. The clone brought up an armored knee aiming for his stomach. It was a feint. Danny leaped back, bringing up his arm to block a punch, grabbing onto his arm, pinning him down. You're fighting like Kim, Danny figured out. The clone smiled at him. Not exactly. Two things happened at once. First, another arrow was sent flying at him. Second, the clone Danny was holding down shrunk. Danny acted fast, making a duplicate. He caught the arrow and fired a ghost ray into the trees, scaring away some birds. The other clone, the one who shrank, suddenly grew up, kicking Danny and his duplicate in the face, sending them flying back together. As he landed, another clone ran at him, hitting him with a green shield, batting Danny through the air into a park bench. Danny, Penny cried in worry and fear before the clone that hadn't done anything yet grabbed her from behind, holding her by the neck. Danny saw this, and his eyes turned green. I wouldn't if I were you, he said with his other hand vibrating impossibly fast, red lightning surging around it. Take a single step, and I end her. An archer ends you, one of the clones near the back said. Great, a clone of him was acting like the Reverse Flash, an archer, a guy who made shields, and a shrinker who knows what the other two could do. Danny needed a plan. Look, I don't know how Vlad is doing this, but I can help you get free of whatever mind control he's got you under, Danny tried pleading, hoping their conscience would make them hesitate. Instead, all they did was laugh at him. Do you think our father would be stupid enough to use the same plan again? The speedster asked. Nor are we like that. Reject Danielle and her generation, the shrinker said. Our father raised us, taught us over the weekend, and we grew in our pods his view on the world, the shield maker said, and we took to it like fish to water. You guys disgusting, Penny said. Vlad's twisted and selfish. He made you the same way. Speedster clone laughed, maybe, but we're not the ones whose life's about to flash before their eyes. Neither am I, Penny said, stunning Speedster Danny when she'd shot him with a Fenton lipstick, sending him back before the other clones could react. Danny rushed forward, making a duplicate. His duplicate flew off with Penny bridal style in his arm while Danny crossed arms, sending a massive wave of energy, sending the clones flying. Speedster clone recovered, first hitting him with a hypersonic punch to the stomach. Then, the two other clones rushed forward, hitting him with twin kicks to the stomach and ribs, nearly bringing Danny to his knees. Danny held strong and didn't back down. That was foolish, the Speedster clone said, you're all alone now. Green blasts shot down from the sky, hitting the Shrinker and the Shield Maker, knocking them back. Landing around Danny were Sam Tucker, Henry Buzz Luke, and Danny. It looks like your math is off, cause now it's 7-6. Seriously, more clones, Danny said, as if I didn't have enough brothers. Danny looked to the four other phantoms, no offense, guys, you know I love you. None taken. Speedster Danny spat in disgust, if we came from the same genetic stock as you. Lightning flashed around him, shield Danny glowed red before he morphed into a dark green Power Ranger with black spiky outlines and a red visor. The Shrinker grew until he was the size of an elephant. The two in the back changed to the one on the left, his skin turned gray, and his eyes glowed a harsh purple. The one on the right morphed to this one dressed in a white bodysuit with black stripes and cat-like yellow eyes behind a domino mask. Fortunately, we come from superior genetic stock, the Speedster said. It appears someone informed Vlad of the multiverse, Luke said rhetorically, and he has taken full advantage of the infinite piles of the earth. Buzz scoffed, covered in his ghost flames, really hadn't noticed. Henry looked to Danny. What's the plan, cousin? He asked. Tucker, there's an archer somewhere in the woods who knows if he has powers or not, Danny said, be careful knowing Vlad. He may get powers, or Vlad gave him some while making him. Tucker nodded, flying off with his jet pack. The rest of us will take these guys down hard. They're not mind-controlled, and they think just like Vlad, Danny said. The Speedsters are going to be the toughest to beat. Therefore, he shall be my opponent, Luke answered. The Speedster laughed, you know it's stupid to plan in front of your enemies. Luke, instead of answering, rushed forward, swinging a green energy blade at the Speedster. I prefer to think of it as confidence in our strength. Tucker landed in the trees, looking for the clone with a bow and arrow. I still don't get why people use a bow to fight, Tucker said. The speaker in his helmet amplified his voice. I mean, it's hilarious how outdated it is, and you use it in a fight. So far, nothing but Tucker knew Danny, clone or not, had a temper. I'm not wrong. Why else are you hiding? Tucker quipped. I'm right here. Tucker's sensors went off. A projectile was heading towards the back of his neck. Tucker turned, catching the arrow out of the air with his other hand. He fired blasts from his gauntlet, lighting up the trees, hitting the clone. He wasn't different from the other clones, except he had a quiver on his back and a large bow in his hand. The clone scowled, making a face that reminded Tucker way too much of Vlad. Moderately impressive, Tucker Foley, he sneered. I can start to see why Danny Fenton keeps someone so pathetic and powerless as a friend. Tucker ignored the clone's insult. He watched the clone throw his bow away, and his eyes became yellow with slit pupils. Fur began to grow over his body, growing, snarling, transforming into a massive puma. You might keep me entertained for 10 seconds, the big cat said, licking his fangs, pouncing at Tucker. Tucker blocked with his bracer and threw a punch. The puma batted his arm away, then tried to sink his fangs into Tucker's arm. Defense Protocol 1, Tucker called out, activating an electric current that ran through his suit, forcing the puma back. Tucker then channeled the energy into his gauntlets, throwing a punch, hitting the clone in the face, knocking out one of his fangs, sending him flying back. The clone crashed into a tree, falling back. He transformed back. Tucker walked over to the barely conscious clone with a grin on his face. Not too bad for someone so pathetic and powerless, huh, Catman? Instead of answering, the clone turned his arm into a puma paw, taking a swing at him with his claws. Tucker batted the paw away with his arm, knocking the clone out with a punch. Tucker's scanners confirmed that the clone wasn't playing possum. He was about to head back and help the others when his scanners picked up something. Before Tucker could do anything, something hit him in the back of the neck, knocking Tucker out. Vlad smirked before retrieving his son and heading off. The game was about to begin. Therefore he shall be my opponent, Luke answered. The Speedster laughed, you know it's stupid to plan in front of your enemies. Luke, instead of answering, rushed forward, swinging a green energy blade at the Speedster. I prefer to think of it as confidence in our strength. The speedster blocked a blade of crackling red lightning. Red and green light filled the air. Speedster Danny grinned, pushing against Luke's blade. Cracks formed under Luke's feet. Are you still so confident? Luke grit his teeth but otherwise said nothing. Instead, he coughed when the speedster moved a high-speed knee to the stomach that Luke staggered back, followed by a punch to the face that sent him sliding back. The speedster just smiled. So much for the confidence of a defective clone. The speedster took a step forward, ready to keep attacking, when green lightning shot up from the ground, shocking him. His body began to stop vibrating slowly. Nanites, Luke said, rubbing his sore side, courtesy of Tony Stark, designed to inhibit the kinetic vibrations of Eobard Thawne, a man much faster than you, though I'm sure you're an equal match. In egos given your father. The speedster scowled while the rest of Vlad's clones rushed forward. Danny and his friends/family rushed forward to meeting in the middle. When the two forces collided, it was chaos. Buzz was throwing flaming punches at the shrinking clone who bobbed and weaved through the punches. His eyes glowing purple, he unleashed a wave of energy that sent him sliding back towards the giant clone who tried to swing down a giant halberd. Danny pushed Buzz out of the way. Danny caught the halberd, gritting her teeth under pressure. Sam leaped away from the clone with the tiger-striped costume and claws. Then, holding up a hand, she shot a blast of fire out of her hands. The fireball hit the giant clone in the side, knocking him away, freeing Danny. Buzz chuckled. I'm so jealous that I'm not the only fire guy anymore, he said jokingly. You spend most of your time in Bellwood anyways, she told him. The gray-skinned clone and the one in the tiger-striped costume leaped at the two, resuming their fight. Henry swung around sabers from the ranger, rushing forward. He pulled out a blaster, trying to blast Henry, who made a shield to block the blast. While Danny and Luke tried to restrain the speedster, Danny, who, even without his speed, was pretty good with hand-to-hand combat and was keeping the two of them on their toes. They needed to end this before the nanites wore off. Danny had an idea, a risky idea, but he hoped it would work. His eyes glowed blue as he punched the ground. A wave of ice froze the ground, trapping all of Vlad's clones in place, leaving them trapped. Danny let out a tired breath as he powered down. Breathing heavily, he looked to Henry. Buzz, call the plumbers to take these guys into custody. Henry, could you go get my doppelganger and Penny now that it's safe? Henry nodded, of course. The speedster clone laughed. I wouldn't say it's safe quite yet. Before Danny or any of the others could ask what he meant, the one in the tiger suit's eyes glowed red as he unleashed a massive wave of black and red energy, breaking him and his fellow clones free before Danny or the others could blink. The giant one slammed his halberd in the ground, making a shockwave that shook the park and sent Danny and his friends flying. Danny and his Halfa cousins all powered down while the clones looked fine. Then, the speedster rushed off, coming back with Penny holding her by the neck. Penny, Danny shouted, trying to get to her only for arrows to pin him down by his shirt. This seems familiar, doesn't it? He said, looking to the gray one. Well done, Rook, your strategy was superb. The clone nodded, of course, Vladimir. They all were so confident they never for once suspected we were holding back to learn what they could do. Danny frowned as the ranger held a hand out, trapping them in a red shide. The speedster Vladimir smiled, holding Danny's girlfriend in his arms. Don't worry, Danny, we don't plan to hurt her. But one must be careful when traversing the little multiverse. Badger, Vlad said, appearing in regal-looking black samurai armor lined with gold, a smirk on his face. One never knows what you'll meet. Vlad's eyes glowed as a portal made of dark red water opened up. Danny struggled and tried to push his way through the shield, but he couldn't break it. Vladimir, the evil speedster, threw a screaming Penny through the portal. DANNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNNN. Danny cried out, watching his girlfriend disappear into the portal. Once the portal shut, Vlad and his sons vanished, leaving nothing but a destroyed park and a horrified Danny as proof that they were ever there at all. The millisecond the barrier holding him was dropped, Danny rushed forward looking around for Vlad with green eyes glowing with rage. Danny, you have to calm down, Henry said, trying to calm Danny down, but he was still enraged by what Vlad had done. He was even angrier when he saw Sam and Buzz carrying an unconscious Tucker between their shoulders. No doubt Vlad's handiwork. I'm going to find her, Danny said. I'm going to get her back, and after I do, I'm going to take Vlad down once and for all. Even with how angry he was because of Vlad and his new clones, all he could think about was finding Penny and getting her home safely. He just got her back, and he wasn't going to let anyone hurt her again. Especially not Vlad. We need to get to Clockwork, Danny said. No doubt he'll know how to find Penny wherever she is. Unfortunately, Clockwork is busy at the moment. A voice with a British accent said. A flash of blue light. A man in a lab coat appeared in the clearing looking at the destruction. My, the third generation is quite vicious, he commented, all of them cloned from great heroes grown through the past month in an accelerated growth program educated with Vlad's way of viewing the world. The man shook his head, it's such a shame how twisted they've become. Professor Paradox, Danny and Buzz said at the same time. Nice to see you again, Professor, Buzz said before looking to Danny, and her brother looked at him. Buzz, are you familiar with this stranger? Luke asked Buzz while Danny and Henry were on edge if this guy was one of Danny's enemies. Guys, chill, this is Professor Paradox. He's a time walker because of an accident in the 50s. He lives outside of the timeline. Buzz explained to his brother and sister. Professor nodded, quite right, Buzz, he said, looking to Danny, it's a pleasure to see you again, dannyphantom of Earth 20. He reached into his lab coat and pulled out a device throwing this to Danny. Danny caught it instinctively, looking down, it looked like some compass. What is it? Danny asked. A chronosapien compass designed to traverse the multiverse and the timeline. This particular device is keyed to the genetic signature of your penny proud. The device began to beep, pointing in a direction. Danny was about to thank Professor Paradox when the man frowned. 2 warnings before I go, Danny. The first is wary during your time on Earth 15, that is the world of Mr. Hyde, a dangerous man who revels in chaos and destruction and will not hesitate to take your life, he said. And what, pray tell, is the second warning? Luke asked. Professor Paradox nodded. On May 20th of next year. There will be a battle in the South Pole. It is not an understatement to say the fate of the entire multiverse will rest on who wins the battle. Seriously, Sam and Danny exclaimed. The entire multiverse? Buzz asked, looking terrified. Luke and Henry were speechless like Danny. Who wouldn't be after hearing the multiverse was on the line? I would not worry, a good young man will win, and the darkness will be stopped, but you and no one else from Earth 20 under any circumstances may interfere in this fight, understood? Danny didn't like it, but he nodded. But if the multiverse was going to be saved without them, that meant Danny could focus on getting Penny back and stopping Vlad. We understand, Danny said. Professor Paradox nodded. Excellent, best of luck rescuing Mississippi Proud, he said, vanishing. Danny didn't even hesitate. Instead, he pushed every button, trying to open a portal to Penny. Danny, perhaps you should rest a moment, Luke said. Even with your clone back, you're on fumes. Yeah, maybe we should wait and come up with a plan, Buzz added. Danny gave his cousins a hard look. If it was Gwen or Mina in trouble, would you wait to come up with a plan? He asked. Neither one said anything as a portal opened, not even hesitating. Danny rushed into the portal, closing behind him. Please be careful, bro, Danny said to the spot where Danny was once standing. Don't worry, he'll be fine, Sam tried to assure Danny while holding onto an unconscious Tucker. At least, I hope he will. While she may not still have romantic feelings for Danny, he was one of her oldest friends. He and Tuck were the closest things she'd ever would have to brothers, and she knew that Danny wasn't always the most rational when his loved ones were in danger. Please, Danny, be careful, she asked quietly in her head. Danny fell out of the portal, landing on his face. Ow, he muttered, getting up and dusting himself off, powering down. He looked around, not seeing anything out of the ordinary. It honestly looked like Amity Park. But there was no sign of Penny. So who knows where Vlad put her? Powering down to not stand out, Danny left the park, not really seeing anything out of the ordinary, just a few people out and about going about their business. There were even a few couples walking around. Danny looked away from them and just focused on finding Penny. Danny, his friend Kim Possible's voice called out from behind him. Danny turned around, and his eyebrows shot up in surprise. Kim looked so different here. She had brown hair, her eyes were blue instead of green, and she was wearing a Casper High Letterman jacket. I thought I saw you, she said with a smile. How was the trip? She must think I'm the Danny from this world, Danny thought, deciding to play along. The trip? Oh, it was fine, Danny answered, giving the most generic answer he could think of since he had no idea what she was talking about. How have you been? He asked, changing the subject to her. Kim smiled, flipping a strand of her brown hair back. Oh, same old Danny, she said, fluttering her eyelashes and smiling again. Wait, was she flirting with him? Was the Danny from here and this Kim dating? It didn't matter because he had to find his girlfriend. Kim, I've gotta go, he said. My parents need me to think fast. Bye fudge, he said. Kim nodded, seeming to accept it. Gotcha, we can hang out some other time, she said before running off. Danny let out a sigh of relief, turning invisible. Okay, until I find Penny, I'm staying invisible, Danny told himself, moving through the streets. Sam ran through the park after getting kidnapped by Vlad and his Nylock cronies on her morning run. Sam had doubled her training not just with Fenton Tech, but she'd taken several martial arts classes and studied various mythologies and past enemies like the Red Lantern Corps or Lothier. Who knows what place beside the Nylocks Vlad would turn to for power. The Fruit Loop would probably trade his mother to get rid of Mr. Fenton or marry Mrs. Fenton. That was so wrong. You know, I never quite understood that, a charming voice said, making Sam turn on her heels, pulling a blaster from the holster on her hip, pointing at a man with long black hair wearing a black suit with runes stitched into the fabric, a green tie with a tie clip of two snakes circling each other to make an S. Oh great, Sam frowned, recognizing the symbol belonging to Loki, the Norse god of mischief, and why the Avengers existed. Why did he bother waiting 2 decades to try and do his enemy in, the man said, a year or 2 at most should have been enough to get a handle on the powers. Sam turned off the safety. Don't move, she said. Loki looked at the blaster with a chuckle. Yes, very amusing, he said, snapping his fingers. The park vanished around them, and Sam was sitting across from the trickster dressed in winter clothing in a cafe looking outside. Sam saw a city she didn't recognize and heard people speaking in a language she didn't recognize. Oslo is lovely this time of year, Loki said with a drink in his hand. Now, Mississippi Manson, let's talk. Sam frowned. There was no way Danny or anyone else could get to Norway in time to help her fight an Avengers-level threat. About what? You have a problem with the Nylocks, Loki said, distastefully sneering. Disgusting little creatures. One of few things I can agree with my father on was his teaching the samurai clans the mystic symbols to fight them. Sam nodded. And you came to me because... Loki reached into his pocket and pulled out a lantern, one of the old-fashioned kind that used a candle instead of a light bulb. The candle inside was lit. In here is a piece of the eternal flame that I've procured for you, Loki said. After all, what better way to deal with a fish than to dry them up, so they have no more of their precious Senzu River. Loki opened the lantern, and the fire flew into Sam's chest. She felt strange. A warm feeling flowed inside, filling her with power. The fire is now a part of you. It will help you against the Nylock. Was Loki being serious right now, offering her powers? There had to be a catch, even if he didn't like the Nylocks. What do you get out of this? She asked. Loki grinned. I've seen your life, Mississippi Manson. You and I are very much alike. You've given yourself a purpose. You're willing to do what you feel is necessary to achieve that purpose. For example, you want your fellow students to eat less meat. You do it. You want to help an animal you free if you wish to protect your friends. You fight as fiercely as the Valkyries and gather as much wisdom as possible to do so. Loki smiled. Call this a mutually beneficial arrangement, Sam. If you learn to control the fire, you can help your friends defeat the Nylocks, but should you fail, the fire will destroy you. Loki snapped his fingers, and she was back in Amity Park. Loki's laugh echoed in her ears as if she were an interesting character. The Amity Park here was both the same and not the same at the same time, Danny thought as he flew around looking for Penny, wondering that the compass Professor Paradox had given him hadn't taken him straight to his kidnapped girlfriend. First, he tried to look for Vlad at his mansion, but in this world, a family of French people living there had a teenage girl with fake red hair complaining about someone named Estelle hatefully the whole time Danny was looking around. Okay. His house was in the same place, but Danny found no sign that the Fruit Loop had been there recently. He also checked by City Hall, where he found out that the Tucker of this world was the mayor. Good for you, Tuck, Danny thought, seeing a picture of him, Danny and Sam arm in arm with each other, along with a picture of Tucker with a pretty girl who wasn't Velma kissing him on the mayor's desk beside the Mayor Foley sign. Danny then decided to check Casper High, where Vlad might set up a hideout, and found nothing there that looked out of the ordinary. Danny frowned, frustrated, punching a locker, turning visible again. He didn't know what he was supposed to do or how to find Penny in all of this craziness. Suddenly the locker Danny had just punched began to rumble and shook, opening up, revealing a black void that began to pull Danny in. He tried to fight it but couldn't resist and was pulled into the locker, closing behind him. Danny fell through the dark chute, landing on a couch in a fancy office. Sitting at a desk was something he never expected to see behind a desk. A Bengal tiger wearing a gray suit jacket with a blue tie. Good evening, the tiger said politely in an Indian accent without moving his lips, pouring a cup of tea from a large silver teapot. Would you care for a cup of tea? He asked. Danny shook his head as something about this tiger was very familiar. It took him a second, but Danny remembered it was a story Penny had told him about rescuing a tiger named Ajay who had been able to communicate with her telepathically from a circus magician who dressed him in a tutu and called him Sasha. He'd occasionally call Penny, and they'd talk when he wasn't distracted by an antelope. Well, his diet was a bit more refined than antelope. No thanks, I just ate. Yes, at Café Le Fleurs, Ajay said, tapping a button with his paw. A screen popped up showing Danny dressed nicely with a plain gray ring on his finger having dinner with Angelica dressed in purple. The two were sitting next to each other and kissing. Okay, so I am not dating Kim here, Danny thought, filing the information away. This is live footage, Ajay said. The earlier politeness was still there, but a sharp edge pushing a button turrets came out of the wall behind the desk aiming at Danny. Now tell me who you are and what are you doing impersonating an agent of Whoop? Hey, wait for a minute, I can explain. Danny tried to stop him from making him into a real ghost. You have a few seconds before I fire and turn you into a paperweight, the tiger warned. Okay, I'm from another universe where I'm dating Penny Proud, Danny started. This causes Ajay to retract the weapons aimed at Danny. Continue, Ajay said. Well, my cheesehead archenemy Vlad Plasmius somehow cloned a bunch of me from the multiverse. And one of those clones pushed my girlfriend into this portal that sent her to the multiverse. I've been looking in this universe to find her, but it seems this compass didn't find her in this universe, Danny explained. Ajay put his front paw on his chin. I heard weirder things that have happened in my time. Danny sighed in relief that his words could convince Ajay not to fire his weapons at him. So you're unable to locate your version of Penny Proud. Is that correct? Ajay asked Danny. Danny shook his head, and Ajay put his front paw on his chin again. I hope that we can help you find your version of Penny Proud, Ajay told him. Danny was happy that he might get some help to find his girlfriend. But, the talking tiger rebutted. You have to stay out of sight because we don't want people thinking you're our version of dannyphantom, Ajay explained. I understand, sir. Danny still felt weird that the leader of one of his dates and Henry's girlfriend was a talking tiger that Penny saved. Ajay gave Danny a trench coat, sunglasses, and a hat to blend in with his surroundings. He then pushes the button to send Danny to the park. Danny dusted himself off from the rough landing and ensured no one had seen him. No one noticed a thing, and that was good. The ghost boy began his search for his girlfriend once again. Danny felt ridiculous walking around Amity Park dressed in a trench coat and a hat trying to find out why this tracker wasn't pointing to Penny already. He'd tried flying up high into the air, and he tried going down into the sewers, and so far, nothing. The closest he's come to finding Penny was seeing a weather girl who looked a lot like his girlfriend, but that was about it. Having trouble, Danny, Professor Paradox said, appearing next to Danny, who frowned at the Time Walker. You said this would take me straight to Penny, Danny said, annoyed with the Time Walker. Professor Paradox looked apologetic. Yes, apologies about that. But, unfortunately, it seems that someone is interfering with the signal to what is the expression the kids use in this century lead you on a wild goose chase. Danny frowned, not liking the idea of someone aware of the multiverse messing with him. Any idea why? Unknown. I'm afraid I would suspect Ian. Various incarnations of Danny Phantom have prevented his plans in the past, Professor Paradox said, though he lacks subtlety and would simply attempt to dispatch you. Danny had heard of Ian before from Ben and Buzz, the evil version of Ben who traveled through time and space conquering worlds and using versions of Ben as his enslaved ninja army. Whoever was messing with him wanted Danny to come to this Earth, wanted him to waste time looking around, and wanted him to get frustrated. Which could only mean one thing. I'm walking into a trap, aren't I? Danny asked. It would appear so. So the only way to get to Penny is to spring the trap. Professor Paradox nodded. It would seem to be the case, yes, he said before vanishing in blue light. At the same time, in a different part of the city, one of Vlad's sons walked through a portal. Behind him was a grotesque Nylok. It was 8 feet tall with moldy green skin. It looked like an upside-down gourd. With a large round head and a face like a jack-o'-lantern with a thin neck, long wiry arms, and legs, it was dressed in a ratty brown loincloth with gold bracers on its arms and legs. Following after the clone was Sharktopus the Nylok, who was second in command in Vlad's army. This world is where your donor came from, young prince, Sharktopus said, respectfully, to the clone who could care less about this place. The fear we gain from here will raise the Senzu River and bring us power, the clone said, looking to the Nylok. Go and don't fail. The Nylok nodded, cackling before it leaped off into the city. Then, the clone looked to Sharktopus. Go to the others, ensure their parts in the plan are going smoothly. Sharktopus growled, not liking being bossed around but nodded. As you command, my prince, he said, leaving through the portal. For now, he thought. Back with Danny, he was wandering around waiting for the trap to happen so he could find Penny when he bumped into the one person Ajay had told him not to bump into. Himself, the one from this world, and his girlfriend Angelica. Maybe they hadn't noticed him yet, Danny thought as they were walking down the sidewalk. Maybe they'd be so busy with their date they wouldn't pay attention to him at all. Hey buddy, are you lost? Danny asked, thinking he must be a tourist or something who got lost. Do you need help getting somewhere? No, Danny said using the hero voice he'd used to trick his dad when Vlad had put a bounty in his head to steal the Fenton portal. I'm fine, just got lost in my thoughts, he said. Thankfully, despite being a spy here, Danny seemed to buy it. Okay, if you're sure. Danny nodded. Oh yeah, I'm fine, you go back to your date and have a good night. Spy Danny looked back to Angelica, who was standing a little bit away. Same to you, Angelica said politely before looping her arm through this world's Danny. Come on, lover boy, we've got 2 hours till curfew, and I plan to spend every second with you. This world's Danny liked the sound of that walking off. What a coincidence, I plan to do the same with you, Angel. Danny watched the go before he walked off. Sooner or later, Vlad's trap was going to get sprung right. A pillar of fire shot into the air and shook the street to answer his question to the universe. Danny didn't hesitate. He ran off right towards whatever. Danny quickly arrived at the scene of the destruction to see something that, unfortunately, was becoming a familiar sight. A Nylok who looked like a squash had sprouted limbs, and a longing to impersonate the Hulk and smash things was terrorizing the city with a small squad of mogres. People ran away in terror as the vegetable monster shot blasts of fire from his mouth. Danny needed to act fast. He needed to help, but he had to do it without being recognized by anyone thinking he was the dannyphantom of this world. Danny smiled, coming up with an idea, his eyes glowing blue as he drew on his ice powers. Meanwhile, the Nylok was laughing, reveling in the destruction he was causing until a disc made of ice was thrown at him. The Nylok turned, seeing a human with green eyes dressed in armor made of ice from head to toe. This was Danny's idea, using his ice powers to make a costume out of ice to disguise himself. Hopefully, Theme in this universe doesn't wear something like this, Danny thought. The Nylok laughed. And who are you supposed to be, human? A guy who can honestly say he doesn't look like an ugly pumpkin brother, Danny quipped, charging action, rushing into action, tackling a mogre up into the air, firing a blast of ice, trapping 2 more up to their necks in ice. A mogre tried to slash at Danny from the left. Danny brought his arm to block it, throwing the fish face freak over his shoulder into one of his buddies. Then he slammed his fist against the ground, trapping the rest of the mogres in ice. Danny then looked to the Nylok. Are you just going to stand there, or are we going to fight? The Nylok grinned, leaping at him, its arms stretching out like vines. Danny skated out of the way. The fists flew down like sledgehammers, ripping through his ghost ice and asphalt underneath it, landing with a crash. He whipped his arms out, sending them flying towards Danny. Danny made a shield of ice blocking the attack, then, making his best Captain America impression, threw the shield, hitting Nylok in the chest, or at least what Danny assumed was its chest. He had no idea when fighting an evil vegetable thing. Unlike before his shield shattered, the Nylok didn't even seem fazed by his attack. That ticked, it said with a dark laugh before shooting its arms into the ground. They sprung up lightning fast, wrapping around Danny, squeezing tight against him like a boa constrictor. Danny could hear his armor beginning to crack and feel shards of ice poke into his skin like mosquito bites. I don't know who you are, the Nylok said, but the fear from your demise will raise the Senzu River waters regardless. Danny needed to think of a way out of this, and fast, before getting squished by a squash. Hey ugly, a voice shouted as a staff was thrown, hitting the Nylok in the face, making him stumble back, letting Danny slip away. Using his ice powers to fix his armor as a guy in a black suit with cat ears landed, the staff went back into his hands. Yuck, cat ear guy said, never thought I'd have to fight something from Dr. Frankenstein's veggie drawer, he quipped, running across the ice, hitting the Nylok with a punch. Okay, that's me here, Danny muttered, skating forward. He threw more ice blasts at the Nylok, stopping it from making a counterattack. Catsuit Danny nodded appreciatively. Thanks for the assist, he said, smiling. Name's Black Cat. I'm Dash. Danny stopped, realizing he didn't think of a name he needed to quick before the Black Cat got suspicions. Frostbite, Danny went with, saying literally the first ice-related name he could think of that wasn't a supervillain's name. My name's Frostbite. Really, don't you think that's a little on the nose? Black Cat quipped. Says the guy in a catsuit named Black Cat, Danny quipped. Black Cat. Touché, the Black Cat said as the Nylok tried to take another swing at him, roaring angrily. I will rip you puny mortals apart, he bellowed, swinging his arms around like mad. Danny and Black Cat was just barely able to dodge. What exactly is this thing, he asked, besides ugly, I mean. It's called a Nylok. They're evil demons made from fear, he explained. We have to destroy it before it causes more damage to the city. They leaped away, dodging a downward swing that sent chunks of ice flying through the air. Black Cat nodded. Can you keep him still? He asked. If I can get close enough without being pounded into pulp, I can destroy it. Danny nodded. Can do. Danny created a new ice shield and sword, skating at the Nylok. The Nylok growled, swinging its vines at Danny. He either parried with his sword, thanks to his sister's boyfriend Antonio for showing him how to use a sword, or blocked with his shield. Every hit against his shield recoiled through his body like getting hit with a cannon, but Danny kept going, reaching the Nylok. Finally, he flipped over with a bit of ghost flight to make the altitude land behind it in a crouch, punching the ground, freezing its flailing arms in ice. Whenever it broke through, Danny froze them again. Whatever you're going to do, Danny told Black Cat, dodging one of its arms before freezing it again, do it fast. Way ahead of you, Black Cat said, diving down with an orb of black energy in his hands. Cataclysm, he called out, swiping at the nylock. It let out a furious yell before it turned to black ash floating away in the breeze. Thank you, good night, Black Cat said with a tired grunt. Danny skated over. Are you okay? Black Cat nodded. Yeah, I'll be fine, that move just takes a lot out of me. Danny helped him up, unaware that the clone was watching them. He scoffed in disgust. The pathetic nylock barely created any fear at all, he said, looking at a vial full to the brim of Senzu River water, but at least he got enough for my father's grand plan, he said dismissively before leaving in a red portal. Penny Proud was really starting to get annoyed with Fruit Loop plans and getting kidnapped. So here she was in a strange world in a cage, her ghost blaster on a table, and her only company was an evil clone of her boo. This one called himself Rook and was the one who was immune to ghost rays. You know you're not going to get away with it, right? She asked, sitting on a crate in the middle of her cage. Whatever your plan is, she said, standing up, it won't work. She got no reaction from the clone who was standing by the corner. See, that's the thing about Vlad. He's got the brains. He's got the brawn, and he has an army of demons, but do you know why he always loses? She asked, standing up walking towards the bars. It's because he's an arrogant narcissist. He thinks because of what happened to him, he can take whatever he wants and hurt whoever he wants to get it. He can't get the woman he thinks he loves, so he strands her and Danny in the woods conveniently near his cabin, and when he asks her to leave her husband and daughter, it doesn't work, and he sends a horde of his spooky hunting trophies after them. Then there's you, Vlad's third attempt in getting a son who's got powers just like him. I'll let you in on a secret: he doesn't love you. He loved Danny but was going to melt her down. He loved Henry but used him as his twisted little puppet. Rook didn't even react, he used them, and he's using you too, she said, trying to plead to his humanity. I don't know where you came from, but odds are the Danny from the world from was a hero, a good person. You have to know Vlad is doing the wrong thing. Rook laughed. It sounded harsh and unforgiving, like a cold wind blowing through the trees on an autumn day, sending shivers down her spine. Do you think I'm naive? I know my so-called father and my brothers better than you. So proud they'll all destroy me when it's in their best interests, he said, sending shivers down Penny's spine. But, he said, when not if. Rook stepped over calmly, phasing through the bars. He pushed her back against the wall. Right now, I'll play along with my father's plan. Let him try again at his desperate attempts to take over Earth 20 and have his petty vengeance. Rook pushed her against the wall and whispered, that includes keeping you alive. Yeah, then what'll you do with me? Penny asked, getting afraid, wondering just how much like Vlad this clone was. Rook laughed coldly, stepping back. If you're thinking I want you romantically, don't bother. The weaker version of Fenton I was cloned from wasn't attracted to his Penny Proud, and it seems my taste in women are like his own, he said. It's fascinating how much of our lives are decided by free will and how much by our genetics. I should study it when I have the time, he wondered aloud, sounding like Luke when he was working on a new invention or tinkering with Mr. and Mrs. Fenton, but that was the only thing they had in common. Luke was the person who flew across the world to apologize for something he did while under mind control. The one who spent 2 nights straight with no sleep in the Fenton's lab, coming up with a way to prevent Ember's love spell from ever messing with any girl's head. What happened before her birthday? You're useful alive as a hostage for Phantom. He's already interfered with Tiger's operation, or perhaps as a bargaining chip with Ranger. He is very attracted to you. Rook laughed coldly at the disgusted look on her face. That's how I thought you'd react, he said, smirking. Enjoy your stay, Miss Proud. You're going to be here for a while. Rook then phased out of the cell and through the floor, going to who knows where. Penny waited a few minutes before she began her plan, reaching into her hair, pulling out one of the pins holding up her hair. Then, she walked over to the cell, inserted the pin in the lock, and began to wiggle. She worked as fast as she could, but it still took what felt like forever. Finally, she heard the lock click open. Penny grinned, taking out the pin. Thank you, Sam. Thanking her boo's best friend for teaching her how to pick a lock with a hairpin. Penny grabbed her blaster and made a break for it. She didn't know where she was or how to get in contact with her Danny, but there might be someone who could help her do both of those things. Penny ran through a door, looking around. It was early in the morning. Great Daddy's going to be worried sick, she thought, knowing her family would be out of their minds with worry when she didn't come home in time for curfew. Penny shook her head. Focus, girl. She needed to find out where the heck she was looking around. Some of the buildings looked familiar. Penny ran down the street. Please be where I think I am, she thought, grinning when she saw the Mr. Smoothie penny bin to every single time she and Danny double-dated with Ben and Kim. There were only a handful of cars in the parking lot, and one of them was a green muscle car that had been smashed during the final battle with the high-breed. Guess the invasion is still going on here, she thought as she ran across the street to the restaurant seeing 3 familiar faces. It was Ben, Gwen, and Kevin, aka the people that could help her find her man and get home. Hang on, boo, I'm coming for you, she thought. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and Pokemon Fan 1991 on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.